Munataka kurudi kwa moto ama munataka kuokoka? Munataka kuokoka? Njia ya kuokoka ni baba. Nawaambia.
Mlikataa Raila. Raila alikuwa mtu wa kwanza kulilia watu. Raila ndio mwenye kuongoza hii nchi. Mpende.
Muniache niunge Raila kwa amani. Na mimi naambia nyinyi watu wa Azimio, hapa Rift Valley tuko pamoja. Petition ile ya pesa 8. Dawa ya hii Kenya ni kusupport Raila Amolo Odinga 100%.
Raila Tegasikio, tuko nawe hadi mwisho. Tuungane tuondoe Ruto, serikali feki ya uongo. Baba regesha maandamano, hawa mafisi tuwaone kando. Ruto ainue mkono, Gachagua afunge mdomo.
Baba tapika maandamano. Baba tapika maandamano. Baba tuende maandamano. Wakenya wamechoka.
Sisi vile sio wote ambao wanataka ugomvi kwa sababu ya ugomvi.
Niwaambia nyinyi ni wajinga mkimfuata Ruto. Mkadhani tunawadanganya.
Jeti ya Ruto. Hii maisha ya Ruto ni stress na ni stress.
Mungu wewe umetukosea.
Sasa tumesema siku ya Jumatano. Mko tayari? Mko tayari? Tumesema sisi si majambazi.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye Sound Candy Talk. Tukutane Sound Candy Talk.
You are watching Sound Candy Talk. Watch, share, like, subscribe.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, Open Forum Political Discussion Show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Thank you so much for choosing to be part and parcel of the great conversation that we believe is going to make a positive impact to this nation and the world at large. Thank you so much. I salute every one of you for making every effort to be part of this great conversation. And we are calling upon you to be on the forefront. Invite somebody, remind somebody, and let us all gang up and make a difference tonight. Well, tonight we are concerned Kenyans about what is developing in our country. It started as a joke, but now it's no longer a joke. There is something out of joint with this country. The businesswoman Anne Njeri Njoroge has resurfaced, and the story behind her resurfacing, whatever revelation she brings out, leaves every Kenyan afraid of what is developing and becoming of our country. To say the least, those of you that are old enough and lived through the Moi-era, when we had the Nyayo chambers and Nyat House torture cubes, then we are right back there again with Ruto administration. It appears now the constitution is immaterial. You can be abducted at the DCI, you will disappear for several days, and then you can resurface. And those several days are days of torture against the law, against the constitution, and all of it is to show who is in power and who is not in power. Well, this is a very, very serious matter that I'm calling upon us to reason tonight and begin to tell each other the truth. There is something out of joint in this country and it needs to be fixed urgently. I know this is now becoming very dangerous for anyone to stick up for what is true and do business even in this country. Well, now I understand there is a special clique of people to do business, especially import of oil. It is not open for everyone, and if you have not been cleared by the highest office, you dare not venture into that. If you do, those that own that space will take what belongs to you, and they will tell you you will do nothing to them. Is this the Kenya we are looking for? Is this the Kenya we want to live for our children? Welcome on board. Even as we start the conversation, I salute every one of you. Please, we are live on Sound Candid Talk, live on Sound Candid Talk Live, as well as Sound Candid Talk Facebook page. We call upon you to remind our friends around the world that we are live again. Apologies for starting late. It has been a long day, exhausting day, and so I couldn't be able to start the show on time. But now that we're here, let's do what we must do, and that is begin to talk. Thank you so much, Ubuntu. We appreciate you, our big sister. Karibu kwa show Chaka Mdune. Hello to you, Karibu kwa show. I salute you so much. Thank you. Tunim Hamud, our permanent secretary. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. True Fosa Lai, we salute you. Thank you so much. Liliana, asante sana. Karibu kwa show. Nashukuru tu sana kwa kuwa ushafika. William Adilo, karibu kwa show. Asante sana kwa kuwa hapa. Kuna Timina Atieno, karibu kwa show. Agnes Wanjiku, karibu kwa show. Asante sana kwa kuchukua muda wako kuwa hapa. Said Omar Said, karibu kwa show. Asante sana. Salome Moshibo, karibu kwa show. Na wanasema liwe ama I don't know how the phrase goes. Lisemwalo lipo, kama halipo linjiani laje. Okay, habari ambayo inanifikia sasa hivi, naambiwa sasa watu kina Omar hakuna kuvuka feri, lazima ulipe shilingi 50. So ferry services is no longer government responsibility. It's a private company, and therefore passengers to cross the ferry will now have to part with 50 shillings as you go to the other side and 50 shillings as you come back. Zakayo at work, Kenyans at pains, and the world is watching. Well, let's get down to business. Use that link, get into the studio, say whatever you feel about this entire scenario. Ni kubaya hapa Kenya, ni mambo ambayo hayakubaliki katika kizazi hiki na Karen hii. Na kuomba makinika tafadhali. Namuona Filimon, karibu kwa show. Jarongo 1212, karibu sana. Nasema Ruto shall fail. Thank you so much. And also as a reminder, the poll is on. And we are asking you on Sound Candid Talk Live, will Kenyans let Ruto succeed in returning Kenya to the terror of Moi-era? Like the video and vote. So far, 6 votes cast on Sound Candid Talk Live. 17% say yes, 83% say no. That must not happen. Well, on Sound Candid Talk, how many votes so far? 32, 33, 34 votes already cast 20 minutes into the show. And what happens? The verdict: will Kenyans let Ruto succeed in returning Kenya to the terror of Moi-era? Well, 14% say yes, and 86% say no. What is your take on all this, even as we dive deep into this conversation? Well, the link to use to get in the studio is already on the comment section. I want you to click on it, allow StreamYard to configure for you the camera as well as the audio, and you will be in this space for us to get talking. Also, if you have not subscribed to Sound Candid Talk Live, please make sure you do so. It's our backup channel, and it is important because we need backup almost on everything. If we don't keep the backup, then you will stay in the dark when we have issues with the normal channel. So we are calling upon you to be on the forefront in ensuring that you not only subscribe to both channels, but you follow both channels as well, and then of course help others to locate it, subscribe, and help us also grow even as we dive into the conversation. So this is a serious matter. We are face to face with the return of terror into the country, and the proof that I am closer to power, so I'm entitled than every other Kenyan. I'm told even in the business meeting, there are people who are given listening ear by government, others are not. And it is crazy. It's crazy that what we saw being acted out, was it acted out, or was it a demonstration on how to get a job in Uasin Gishu County? It is now become a reality even on the national level, that if you're not from Uasin Gishu, or if you're not in favor with the Uasin Gishu or whatever part of this country that is in power, you have no business diving into certain businesses that have now been left for the chosen few. A very disturbing reality that I want us to discuss. And I want you to fearlessly and without favor speak up, because if we keep silent, this thing is not going to end up into good. The people that dislodged Moi and his terror were not afraid to speak up, and were not afraid of being arrested, being tortured, and being wherever mistreated, simply because they stood for something that was good and better for this great country. And so I'm calling upon you as an individual in your own capacity. Will you coil yourself in and let Ruto turn this country into his terroristic mindset of turning everybody into his servant by flexing his muscle and demonstrating his iron rule? Is this what we bargained for? Is this what the 2010 Constitution guarantees? Let's get talking. Karibu sana, na kuomba tafadhali endelea kukaribisha mtu, usitazame kipindi peke yako, mambo bado, na tuko hapa kuhakikisha kwamba lazima kieleweke. Usiogope na usikae mbali. Hapa ndipo story yote inapatikana. Na cha muhimu hapo katika mada ya leo pia tunazungumza kuhusu bara la Afrika na jinsi wameanza kujitenga naye William Ruto kwa sababu hamuelewi, na hili lilianza kama mchezo kutokana na hotuba ya nani, ya Malema hapa inaitwa nini, Lukenya. Kisha tukasikia tena West Africa. Sasa ni kama kila mtu ameanza kuwa makini kwa sababu Ruto haeleweki, na kusimama naye ama kuwa pamoja naye anza kukuuza vibaya machoni pa wote ambao wana nia njema. So inaonekana hata hizi safari za kwenda Kongo kurudi, kwenda Brazzaville kurudi, kwenda Ethiopia kurudi, basi zitakatika kwa sababu mtu tena amekataliwa bila anavyo kataliwa nyumbani huku na huko pia huko nje kumewaka moto. Kwa hivyo we are dealing with a very, very serious matter here that we all need to be careful about. But more than being careful about, we need to be on the forefront in ensuring that we stand for what will we call it what will stand the test of time. Okay, what will stand the test of time. I want you to envision yourself and 20 years from now and 50 years from now, will Kenya be talking about you? What will they be saying about you? That is what needs to be talked about. What is happening in this country requires you to ensure that you are on the right side of history. And so to start us off, I want us to, before even Chaka comes in, I want us to play that video of that young man talking about Ruto being the #1 problem in this country. And thereafter, I play another short clip about the Ruto and Pan-Africanism image. And then thereafter, we can now dive into the conversation. But please be on the forefront to like the video, to vote, and invite somebody into the conversation. The Facebookers, thank you so much. Please, let's be on the forefront. Share that link in all your Facebook groups. Share that link into all your WhatsApp groups. Let the whole world tune in and let us speak up what we must speak up, because it is time for the world to know that Kenya is not in the right position right now.
I don't just look what the president says and started praising you. I look what you are doing to your peoples in your country. Kenya president, Ruto. Why everybody is saying, no, Ruto is good? Because what Ruto was saying on media. We believe that Ruto is good. Go and ask Kenyan peoples how Ruto is treating them. How Ruto is not doing nothing for that country. Because Ruto will sit and speak like a Pan-African, and we believe that Ruto is doing well for his own peoples. Go to Kenya or ask Kenyan peoples. Trust me. Ask Kenyan peoples. I watch Ruto videos, most of his interviews. Ruto, of course, when he do interview, he speak well, but is he doing well? No. You speak well, but you are not doing well. What is the benefit of speaking well? When you speak well, you have to do what you are saying. But Ruto will sit in American interview or UK or Canada, started blabbing. And we believe what he is saying. Right. Whatever Ruto was saying on media was something that when he is like that, it will be good. But Ruto was not speaking. Was not doing what he was always saying, emphasizing. So Ruto is just speaking. But when he go back to his country, he's suffocating his own peoples. Kenyan people are suffocating from Ruto hand. But Ruto is always telling you that Africa have to be this, Africa have to be this, free visa, that, free visa, that, free visa, that, free visa for African, this, that. That's not what we need. I'm telling you. As any African, that's not what we need, please. I would want people to understand my point. Why do I say when Ruto says I have free visa for Africans? That's not what we need. If Ruto wants free visa for Africans, we want these African leaders to come together as one peoples and build up their own foundation as African Leaders Foundation and started making every free border for all. If only Ruto says Kenya free visa, then still Africa is not free. Only one country free in 54 countries. Is that continent free? That continent is not still free. But Ruto is just preaching good and doing bad in Kenya. That is Ruto, President Ruto for you, Kenya president. Ruto is speaking good, but doing bad in this country. Ruto is #1 problem in Kenya, if you don't know. Because I saw many people send me the short video of Ruto where he's speaking like a Pan-African. Hey, they told me that, brother, this man is this man is very good, this man is doing well, this man is speaking the truth. Speaking the truth is not a problem. Are you acting that way as a leader? But ask Kenyan peoples. Trust me. If you post some video in media today to say that is Ruto good or bad, you will receive more bad than good. Why? 75% of Kenyan citizens are not in support of Ruto because they are suffering. So Ruto is just speaking out as a great man, but Ruto is a bad man. That is Ruto for you. Go and check Rwandan president. Go and check Cameroon president. Cameroon, I'm sorry, I will come for Cameroon. I will come Cameroon as a special video.
Saying that President William Ruto is a dangerous man for Africa. He is a master of double-speak. He delivers anti-West or pro-West speeches, depending on the audience. In African forums, the Kaunda man wears a Pan-Africanist mask. In West imperialists' forums, he delivers West-friendly speeches. According to Lambert Ebitu, if William Ruto is not flattering Uganda's Museveni as the father of the region, he is holding hands with Rwanda's Kagame and sheepishly smiling in a public show of Pan-African camaraderie, or flattering Eritrea's Isaias Afwerki for his Pan-African credentials, or as of late, donning a Kaunda suit to complete his masquerade as a Pan-African. If I may say this, Kenya is considering the so-called Family Protection Bill 2023, which could lead to a 50-year prison sentence for non-consensual same-sex acts. Really? What do you mean non-consensual? So, if there's consent, even between an adult and a minor, they can go ahead and perform homosexual acts in an official, allowed capacity on the soils of Africa. May God forbid you guys, if I may ask, what is wrong with Kenya under Ruto? It is such a shame that we have a vibrant young man like Ruto in power, and he speaks all this grammar at international events that give the impression he's pro-African, only to turn around and stab Mother Africa in the chest. This is unacceptable. I can't even begin to say how this makes me feel. Is it because of World Bank and their useless aid? Are you afraid of World Bank withdrawing aid from you like they did Uganda? But Uganda hasn't faded away. Uganda still stands as the beacons and will always stand. What are you afraid of, Ruto? The same Ruto who said, African leaders aren't being respected well enough. How can they respect you when you open your mouth and eat every crap they shove down your throat? For a minute, I thought we have another
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad you're watching. Thank you so much for being part and parcel of the great conversation. Please, let's keep inviting each other and participating into the conversation. 3 ways to participate. 1, on the comment section, you type out what you feel and you'll be able to sample some of it to the rest of our viewers. And then the second one, you get into the studio through that link on the comment section, and you will be given a chance to be on the screen and be able to speak up, and you will be heard loud and clear. And then, of course, the third one, you respond to our poll question, which is live right now on Sound Candid Talk Live YouTube channel and Sound Candid Talk YouTube channel. All of them are running the same poll, and the poll question for tonight is, will Kenyans let Ruto succeed in returning Kenya to the terror of Moi-era? So far, we have different people voting. Please, let's be on the forefront as you vote yes or no. But before that, make sure you like the video because the question is right beside that video. Asante sana. Umeona Chaka ashafika. Chaka vipi?
Safi sana ndugu yangu Bernard. Sina neno, namshukuru Mungu tumeiona siku. Sijui wewe nawe na hali huko upande wa pili.
Tunashukuru. Karibu. El Nino ishakuja. Manabii wote wamebadili unabii.
Panda mti ng'oa mti. Anyway, wacha ni wasalimie wale ndugu zangu upande wa pili kule upande wa comment sections. Kwa kazi nyingine swafi. Mimi Bernard kwa kweli sina usemi. Maana ninatafakari hizi video zote mbili kwa mpigo. Ama kweli ni pale nilipokuambia tu Bernard, ama nilipozungumzia hapa kwenye hii panel kwamba jamani, hakuna haja ya kulipiga jibu wakati nyumba inanuka nyama. Maana ujanja wa nyani siku zote ni jangwani, na ukisema una akili zaidi, wenzako wana akili zaidi ya kuona mbali zaidi. Ukisema unaipenda Afrika, kuna wengine wanaipenda zaidi. Sasa kwa hali kama hii, ikiwa nyumbani tayari haswa, ama ninavyofahamu mimi, unapigwa nje Bernard, unakimbia nyumbani, unapata kufunikwa. Sasa jiulize hii hali, unatwangwa nje, unakimbia nyumbani huku angalau upate msaada, ukifika nako Bernard unatwangwa na zaidi. Inafika mahali sasa ni yale ambayo tumetabiriwa, unachokipanda ndicho utakachokivuna. Itafika mahali kweli lipatikane, jitokeze tu. Mimi na imani kabisa, kwa sababu kama mataifa haya yatasimama na yatazidi kuweza kuyakemea maovu na janja ambayo imejificha ndani ya ukweli uliojaa uongo na kuitetea haki, hakika Wakenya tuna bahati iliyoje. Ni kuamua tu na kufanya maamuzi na kuwapa nguvu wale ambao pia nao wanatuonea imani katika hali ambayo tunaipitia kama wananchi. Sasa tunajiuliza tunangoja nini na wakati ni huu? Bado nitamaliza kwa msemo kwamba ni heri kuziba ufuta kuliko kujenga, ni heri kuziba ufa kuliko kujenga ukuta. So tunavyochelewa navyo ndivyo hivyo tunaweza kumkuta mwanasi wetu. Wakenya tuamke, tuungane, tumalizane na hili jambo mapema. Uwezo tunao, katiba inatulinda kabla wajanja hawajaifukua. Kisha nikimalizia Bernard kwa swala lako la torture chambers, nitarudi baadaye, sijelisahau, lakini Wakenya kwanza wapate hiyo doza. Asante.
Asante sana Bwana Chaka, tunashukuru kwa utangulizi mzuri na tunaendelea mbele. Tafadhali endelea kukaribisha mtu, endelea kukumbusha mtu tuko hapa, na hilo swala nyeti la torture chambers tutalizungumzia kwa kina. So kama unaogopa basi itabidi ujitahidi, kwa sababu it appears that what Ruto said is not what he is, and he has no business in being or doing what he said he should do. Well, kibokizo chetu tunaporudi kwa kishindo, tafadhali endelea kukaribisha mtu.
Wanakoroga katiba iwafaidi. Ameuza mayai huyu, hatatuelewa. Anajua shida huyu, hatatuelewa. Hasa ndio wetu, ndio wetu, ndio wetu. Hasa ndio wetu, ndio wetu, ndio wetu. Hasa ndio wetu, ndio wetu, ndio wetu. Hasa ndio wetu, ndio wetu, ndio wetu.
Kitambulisho ni haki yako. Ukipata mtu ambaye anakuitisha pesa ati ndio upatiwe kitambulisho, huyo mtu tunataka mpige ripoti, huyo mtu aende nyumbani. Kuna watu wengi sana wanaweza kufanya kazi.
Okay, hali namna hiyo. Hebu nione kama hii aferi, lakini nakaka na kwamba ni fake, sijui, sina habari, but you can confirm this in case una hiyo habari. Nimetumiwa tu hii na kuna vile na suspect, lakini wacha tu display tu. Nimeona ikizungumziwa katika group fulani pia, so inaweza kuwa kuna ukweli fulani hapo. Hapa inasemekana did it work? Let me see. It's still coming. Hapo tunasema Kindiki hapo. Kenya Ferry Service to charge passengers 50 shillings as from 1st of December 2023. Sijui kama hiyo ni kweli, lakini wapekuzi wetu, basi pekueni hiyo mkatuambie kama ni kweli, na sijui itakuwaje hiyo. God have mercy. Inji tusiposimama imara, hatuna inji hapa. Kuna inji hapa kwa sababu ya kuwa na serikali ni nini? Kama kila kitu ambacho kinapeana serikali kila mwananchi lazima anunue, basi tusilipe ushuru, tujue kwamba we are dealing with a private company kama vile Kashagu alisema. So tukienda Nyayo House, tumeenda kwa private company, tunalipa kama kawaida, tunanunua. Vile tunaenda Naivas, vile tunaenda supermarket yoyote ile. Atulipangi ushuru kwa Naivas, atulipi ushuru kwa kampuni nini. That's where we go and buy. But if you want to be government na unataka kuuza pia, basi chagua. Unataka kuwa mfanyabiashara ama kiongozi wa nchi. Hapo tu. Kwa sababu wewe huwezi kuwa unatuhadaa kwamba unataka kusimamia rasilimali ya nchi, wewe unataka kuajiriwa na nchi uangalie rasilimali yake, and then wewe unatumia hiyo nchi kufanya biashara yako. Sasa kila Mkenya amekuwa mteja, sio Mkenya tena. Yes, Chaka.
Hebu kama hii itakuwa kweli, unajua kwa nini Bernard? Siku zote unapokula na kipofu simguse mkono. Hebu acha ijaribu hii sasa na venye umati wa watu wenye unavuka hapo on daily basis, alafu utaniambia, kwa sababu I do believe hapo ndio chimbuko la maandamano limezikwa. Wacha tuombe Mungu tu, mimi sitaki kusema mengi, but naliombea sasa hili jambo liwe, maana ni kula na kipofu, mwisho hata unamgusa mkono kabisa, kuonyesha kwamba sasa ulaji wako ni wa mashaka. Sasa siku utakuwaje baadaye? Mimi nitaachia hapo.
Asante Chaga. Inaonekana unakumbuka wakati wa COVID kulikuwa na hiyo story ya kupanga foleni, watu wasikwe wengi kwa feri na hiyo masuala yote. So nafikiria watatumia mtindo huo kutoza watu fare ya kuvuka kutoka huku kwenda huku, ukifika huko tena utozwe ya kuvuka ukirudi huku. Lakini hata shida sio kulipa. Tunalipia nini? Hiyo hela inaenda wapi? Feri inajengwa upya. Nimesikia Murkomen anasema airport inavuja kwa sababu ya Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta ndio mvua ama ndio airport?
Unajua ndio maana mimi Bernard huwa nakwambia siku zote mficha uchi. Yaani mwenye kufa hawezi kuficha uchi. Yaani mwenye kukaribia kufa basi kashughuliki na biashara ya uchi ni nini sasa? Ndio tunajipata katika hizo malawama ambazo definitely hii dao hii boti inayumba tu. Yaani ninashangaa wakija sio basi tunasubiri nini? Yaani sio tumerogwa ama ni Mackenzie type ama ni kitu gani, sio ni dawa gani tumepigwa? Because this is the time to act na kuonyesha bara zima la Afrika na dunia kwamba wakija tuna maamuzi na hatutatawaliwa na utoto, kwa sababu naweza sema ni utoto. Kwa akili hiyo koma yenye kujali, yenye kufikiri haswa, damu nyeusi ya Mwafrika na madhila ambayo tumeyapitia. Sidhani kama mtu mwingine, yani so please Kenyans, mimi nalaumu sana ndugu zangu, nikijilamu hata na mimi pia, lakini ukweli lazima tusimame kwenye haki na kwenye kweli, si kwa ajili yetu, lakini tu kwa vizazi vinavyokuja visiambukizwe hii corona mpya. Asante.
Nakubaliana nawe kabisa, wasiambukizwe hii corona mpya. Na hii corona ya Zakayo si hatari kabisa, kwa sababu hatari kwa usalama, hatari kwa kila kitu. Si ndoa, si maisha, si masomo, si afya, kila mahali. Yani hii ni corona combined cause. Ikikonasa mpaka hata akili zinapotea, kwa sababu au maprofesa wote wako kwa UDA. Uprofesa ulienda wapi? Akili ilienda wapi kama sio corona ambayo inapumbaza akili na inafanya mtu anakuwa duni, useless completely. Hii nchi inahitaji Mutaikagwe arudi akwambie kila mtu anaweza kupata. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to share a video and we continue the conversation. Please keep inviting somebody. Make sure that you participate into our poll question. We are asking, will Kenyans let Ruto succeed in returning Kenya to the terror of Moi-era? 9 votes on Sound Candy Talk Live. Of the 9 votes, 11% say yes, 89% say no, he will not succeed. And then on Sound Candy Talk, 33 minutes into the show, 51 votes so far. Will Kenyans let Ruto succeed in returning Kenya to the terror of Moi-era? 20% say yes, 80% say no. Like the video siko chini, 64 people have voted and only 35 have liked the video. Please, let's be civil. Like I said, when you're given an instruction, please follow it through. It is important that we have a way of verifying really people participated in the poll, and one way of verifying is that the same people that like the video should be the same people that voted. So don't just decide the question. So I don't see how you find it difficult not to like the video before you cast your vote. And please, let's be on the lookout even as we do what we must do to safeguard this country. It is becoming very, very, very dangerous to be in Kenya at this point in time when we have what we are seeing as free violations of human rights, violations of the Constitution being done by the people in power, regardless of what the law says. That you go to the DCI and you get kidnapped from there. And your kidnappers keep you as long as they want and release you when they want. How do you do that? I mean, how do you explain that? And Kenyans, we are quiet. We are saying nothing about that. This is not the way things are done. And so, mimi nakuuliza tu, unataka nini lingine lifanyike ndio uchukue hatua? Kwa sababu walichukua Rai, okay? Wakamtocha akarudi. Wakachukua Babu Owino, okay? Disappeared, resurfaced. Saa hii sasa wameanza kuchukua wafanyabiashara wa mama for all people. You take a lady, you kidnap her from DCI, keep her for 6 days, and bring her back, and Kenyans are quiet. Oh, so you want them to come for you before you do something? Tuache mchezo.
Bernard, pole.
Washughulikiwe mapema.
Pole Bernard, kwa sababu najiuliza pole kwa ukati. Yaani unajua najiuliza lile swala Makenza lilizungumza. Nadhani kwa mwanzo haswa, wakati wa mwanzo nilikuwa tunaongea tu kitaturamba, kitawaramba, lakini sasa naanza kupata picha halisi ya Wakenya. Yaani watu wanakaa kwa msitu, ile roho ya kwamba narudi nyumbani pia hakuna. Yaani mpaka mtu mwisho anagomea kula live. Tuliona hizo picha wakati ule. Hivi ndio tunajiuliza. Hiki ndicho ambacho kimetukamata kitaturamba. Yaani Wakenya tunashuhudia maovu ndio haya. Kwa macho, kwa vitendo, but sisi bado hivi ndio hiki kilikuwa kimetabiriwa na huyu Mackenzie kwamba kitaturamba, ama ni nini haswa? Bado nashindwa kuchanganyikiwa hapo. Yaani sielewi. Juu for real ni nini kinatuchelewesha na hapa? Tunangojea nini? Kama hatutazungumza kweli, vyombo vya dini viwe mstari wa mbele. Vyombo vyetu vya sheria virudi baka vifikirie. Hata vyombo vyetu vya usalama vifikirie kuhusiana na vizazi vinavyokuja, haswa kiwa siasa itakuwa ni mtindo ni huu, na watu wakuwe katika hali kama hii, Kenya hii itakuwaje? Ndio maana mimi nazungumza kama Mkenya tu normal, lakini najiuliza hilo swali. Wacha tuniachie pale bena, tutakutana kesho.
Unaniacha msalabani? Wakati umechokoza Ruto, unataka Ruto anikujie peke yangu? Keti hapo hapo, hakuna mahali unaenda.
Asante.
Ladies and gentlemen, na kuomba tafadhali karibisha mtu. Nashukuru. Ubuntu anasema it is blank. Refresh your browser. If you want to cast your vote, you go to that page. When you get to the page, refresh the browser. It will be able to bring for you the question. It is on both channels, Sound Candid Talk and Sound Candid Talk Live. It is important that we ensure that that is done. And then the liking of the video should be a priority. Let's just look at what's cooking in this country at this point in time, even as we dive deep into this conversation about okay, let me see how long this is. Okay, as we dive into understanding this issue about the businesswoman and Anne Njoroge, as she narrates her ordeal in the hands of her abductors. But there is an inside information by Kumekucha, which I'll also be sharing shortly. Very, very insightful in terms of pointing us to what is happening. This is not the Kenya we bargained for. This is not the Kenya our forefathers fought to get to be put together. But let's listen to what these Rift Valley friends of ours are saying about the Ruto regime.
Mimi nimekuombea kura, hakuna mtu ajui, nikiwa sioni, ninaingia kwa nyumba usiku. Ruto unataka tuangamie mpaka lini? Mimi nimekuombea kura, hakuna mtu ajui, nikiwa sioni, ninaingia kwa nyumba usiku, na leo hii umeketi, hii UDA Trans Nzoia imeangamizwa, na jamii yetu ya Wakalenjin, tunaambiwa sisi ndio minority, tunaambiwa huko UDA, Ruto ataki Wakalenjin Trans Nzoia, Wanandi, tulikosa nini bwana Ruto? Na sisi tulikupigia kura, unataka tukue wanani? Ndio tunauliza leo, tukiwa na uchungu mwingi sana. Hata nilienda mpaka Sukoi, nikaombea Ruto kura, na nikasema napenda chama cha UDA kuliko bibi yangu. Na nilipofika nyumbani, tukagombana na bibi akatoroka mimi. Ndio hii saa hii bibi ananiambia uliniwacha, wapi UDA mbona ije kusaidia? Kwa hivyo hii ni kilio na ni kuangamizwa. Kwa sababu gani? Wale wana pesa, hao viongozi ambao tunaye Trans Nzoia walikuja kutukanyaga na kutunyang'anya sisi, na hii si mara ya kwanza. 2017 ilinyang'anywa. Kwa hivyo hakika hatuna letu kama walemavu Trans Nzoia. Si ningekuwa naona, ningekuwa nimemfikia, sababu simuoni hii ujumbe itamfikia.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and comment.
Shaga. Nilipenda UDA kuliko
kuliko bibi yangu.
Amesema nilipenda UDA kuliko
Bibi yangu niliporudi kwa nyumba nikapata hayupo. But twinkle over na narudi ananiuliza, sasa between mimi sasa na UDA wapi ni wapi? Hebu bwana kilo changu kisikie mkuu. Mambo ni mabaya.
Ubuntu anasema bibi alienda Sugoi. Ubuntu anasema bibi alienda Sugoi.
Mungu atatusaidia. Kwa kweli Mungu alikuwa na mipango yake. Wacha sasa tuone Mungu halisi. Mimi nikijitia imani hiyo, Bernard huwa najisikia kufarijika zaidi kwamba nina matumaini mapya. Nitazungumza pale Mungu ataniwezesha, kupengine hapo wokreli wangu udogo wenye naupiga ndio ambao utaleta tija. Maana ni maombi. Kwa maana hiyo alikuwa na makusudi haswa ya kuleta huu uongozi ili tulisafishe taifa. Haifai hapa tutaenda kuzungumzia mambo na siasa. Ni mambo na kuhakikisha kwamba hawa jamaa hawapo. Then tutatengeneza siasa baadaye. Wakenya lazima tuangalie, tukiingia hapo kwa siasa tunayudia hati nini, hapo tutaweza kuelekezea kwanza ndio tutapotea maboya kabisa. Itamata na kuangalia sasa roho ya mtu na matamshi ya mtu na matendo ya mtu. Ikiwa sio na hayana mwelekeo, haina haja tusubiri. Ni bora kuhusika mgomba ukiwa wima Bernard, kuliko kuacha uanguke, utakosa na hiyo ndizi na mgomba nao ushakosa vile vile. Nitakwamia hapo kwanza nikupishe kaka. But nitawapa mipasho leo hawa wa Kenya, maana naona wana muda.
Asante sana Bwana Chaka. Tunashukuru Wakenya wenye nia njema. Mahala pa kuzungumza masuala yetu ni hapa. Tunaitwa Sound Candid Talk. Tuko hapa kuhakikisha kwamba kila Mkenya ana nafasi ya kusema yaliyoko moyoni mwake na jinsi anavyoona vile inji inavyoongozwa, kipi kimeenda mrama, tufanye nini kukirekebisha. Na hapa tumeona kwamba mtu ambaye tumeambiwa hata na wageni kwamba shida yetu kubwa ni William Ruto. William Ruto is Kenya's problem, and the problem of Kenya is William Ruto. Let us not beat around the bush. You cannot use a wrong a wrong roadmap to take you to right destination. It doesn't matter how good you are. The moment you begin to follow the wrong map, you will get to the wrong destination. William Ruto is the wrong map for this country. He is busy returning this country to the Moi-era. And on that note, I want us to share this analysis by Kumekucha, just to give you a good view of what we are dealing with, because it appears to me Wakenya hawaoni kipi ambacho kimeenda mrama na nchi hii. Wanafikiria kila kitu kitakuwa shwari. Hakuna kitu kitakuwa shwari hapa. Kama mtu anaweza kuimport mafuta 17 billion alafu yenda kuchukuliwa na serikali ati hana makaratasi, ana mafuta, tusungumuze mafuta kwanza. So kama mimi sina makaratasi niko na mafuta, unapata wapi haki ya kuchukua ya mafuta? Is it in order for the government to seize somebody's oil simply because it doesn't have papers for the oil? So hii serikali ya unyang'anyi inanyang'anya watu mpaka kina mama, alafu inasema inataka investors wakuje. Investor wakuje kufanya nini? Kuibiwa. Airport hapa mmeshindwa kumanage, airport ndogo tu mmeshindwa kumanage, may return into a village airport. Mnataka ikuwe kama ile ya Eldoret ya mizigo peke yake, na mwezi kupokea what? What is wrong with this country? An international airport, you want to run it like the village cattle dip. Ai, wacha nisichemke sai, tusikilize huyu jamaa anavyoangazia masuala haya.
Utaniruhusu kidogo tu kama seconds mbili nijaze mahali.
Quickly video.
Samia jana tulisikia hapa kabisa Samia jinsi anavyozungumzia kuhusiana na masuala kama haya. Samia tu ulipocheza ile video jana, kama watu tulisikiliza. But mimi najiuliza, hizi pesa zinakusanywa zinafanya kazi gani? Alafu pia najikumbusha pale nyuma, hasa wakati wa kampeni, kuna kitu kinanijia pia kwenye akili, najiuliza vivyo hivyo. Nilishuhudia haswa mabilioni yakimwagwa makanisani. Paka tunayazungumzia hivi. Tunalipiwa kule madeni ama ulikuwa mkataba jamani? Yaani ni kitu kanijia tu, msinifikire vibaya wa Kenya. Lakini ni mkataba ulikuwa umewekwa mahali watu sasa zile mabilioni za makanisa, maana sioni pesa yetu ikifanya jambo la mbolea na tunatoza ushuru on daily basis. Sasa hii pesa hii ni madeni gani haya ambayo hatuambiwi? Deni hili limelipwa hapa, limebaki hapa. Wakenya kaeni na matumaini, kwa sababu hali kweli ilikuwa mbaya. Tumelipa hiki, kimebakia hiki. Na hata hivyo hiki kidogo kisimamie elimu, wacha kisimamie afya, huku tikubabaya tu, maana mambo hupangwa yakaonekana. Sasa hii sarakasi hii tunaishuhudia wa Kenya. Is it na ni muda tu kidogo huko nyuma mabilioni yalienda wapi haya mabilioni? Ama je, ni mimi msimamo nikamuliwe mpaka pale? Maana kusema siwezi, naliona baya ndio hili na nyamaza. Yani nangojea tu miracle ya Mungu tu yenyewe itokee tu. Nitaachia pale na mimi pia sichemke bena, lakini tuko hapa sako kwa bako mpaka pale utasema msimamo ondoka. Leo tuko na Wakenya hapa, hata tubaki watu wawili, lakini tutayazungumza iliyo kweli. Maana shida ya Kenya kuiponesha ni kweli, tuitafute ndivyo tupumzike, tuwe na amani ya kudumu na amani ya haja, lakini isiwe amani ni msitu ya kuificha kweli. Tunazungumzia amani, lakini kweli tumeficha hapo, umekuwa msitu wa kuficha kweli. Wacha tuipate kweli ili tupate na amani ya kudumu.
So amani itatoka wapi wakati haki ya mtu inahujumiwa? Wewe utoe 17 billion uende kununua mafuta ulete, alafu unyang'anywe 17 billion na ukuwe na amani. Hiyo amani itakwenda toka wapi?
Sawa basi nikamua hivyo unavyonikamua, lakini kila unachonikamua nidanganye nacho, nulie biskuti, niambia haya biskuti ndio hiyo ramba, lazima nitaamini. Lakini sasa sioni hata kile ambacho ni cha kuramba na bado unanikamua. Nikifanya hivi sivyo, una mimi mpaka dakika mwisho mwananchi. Nilikosea wapi?
Wakariuki hapa anasema mama aliambiwa mambo ni matatu. Aachilie mafuta, ahame Kenya, ama asafirishwe kwenda mbinguni. So hii ndio sababu ya haya mambo yote. Unyang'anywe mali yako, waambiwe mambo ni matatu. This must not be allowed. Let's listen to these two quick videos and then we can dive into the conversation. Kama unataka kuingia kwa studio, usikae mbali, hapa ndipo story yote inapatikana. Let's listen to this senator of Kisii kwanza, alafu turejelei ile analysis ya Kumekucha.
Senator, tell me, because we hear the president speaking, should I say, bullishly about the state of the economy, that you're on the recovery path, that you are now more ethical. It's painful, but it is ethical on how we're dealing with, especially the issue of public debt and even the Kenya shilling itself. Do you get the confidence that the country knows what it's doing?
Sami, what does a head of state do when his country is in trouble? He, first of all, issues a presidential speech, which then is meant to preoccupy the issues that are preoccupying his people. And the issues that the president discussed the other day, there's a young man who does media things for me. He engages me. He writes very well. And this is somebody who's been completely crazy about President William Ruto. You know these bloggers, you have one who does work for you. He likes the way you argue, but on the other side, he's on the other side telling me, I like the president. The young man sent me a message and said, I'm completely heartbroken with what the president has said. I said, why? He told me, I expected him to come and say, after 1 year, this one, the figures are supporting us. This one, we have managed to handle it. This one, I mean, Sam, you can go. My brother is talking about how Kenyans we have this mentality where we make everything for export. But what he's not telling you is that he's discussing the hardware. I want him to discuss the software. Why are we in that mess? You are discussing the fact that coffee is going up. That is not the problem. We started dealing with the issue of coffee many years ago. We come back to last year after the government now took over power. Vice President Gachagua said, I'm going to be in charge of the coffee. I'm going to be in charge of the tea. I'm going to be in charge of these cartels that are stealing everything. What has happened? You guys are now saying, oh, you know, the coffee industry has collapsed. Now tea is in a mess. Oh, you know. Then I saw somebody going to Western Province saying, we are going to make sure that Mumias is going to be. We will fix in Zoya. Well, slowly. What are you guys talking about? We now want to sell these factories. In fact, we want to sell them. We don't even have to consult the stakeholders and the owners on the ground. In fact, we can do it through parliament. A president gives his people hope. A president, that hope must be supported with data. You know, Sammy, right now you look at the American politics and you see how everybody keeps talking about how Biden is going to lose. It looks like Trump. I can tell you, Biden cannot lose that election. Why? Because he brought in the inflation bill. It was passed in the Senate and then the Congress. There was money which was allocated for certain things to alleviate or to mitigate the inflation, to mitigate the poverty, to mitigate all those things were done. Mm-hmm. That is how people look at you and see what you've done. Right now, the questions I keep saying, we might default on our debt. Right now, I see a story. Look at the headlines. Some intrigues behind the 17 billion heist, something to do with oil. Corruption galore. You look at everything. The trees are a fantastic idea of planting trees. People are taking helicopters to go and plant trees. You look at all our friends around. Look at the cars we drive. Who cares? Look at the trips that we've been taught. The software of our country is in a mess. The hardware looks fine. And I know, I've had my young brother here say he really pities the president. I pity him too. But he's the president. Yeah. That's the job he wanted. So why do you want me to pity him? That is the job he's supposed to do. He needs to fix this country. He can't keep taking trips. He can't keep talking. Like the issue of fertilizer. Sammy, haven't you heard Kenyans say wonderful things about the president? In fact, now he should be working to make sure the fertilizer is even cheaper, because as an input, the maize is going to be grown. It is raining now. That is a success story. NHIF, money has not reached the hospitals. Look at the money for capitation for secondary schools and universities. University students are living in universities right now in destitute conditions. The president never said anything about it. He's talking about CBC. CBC right now, the budget, CBC right now, projects which are supposed to do to build classrooms. CBC, my brother, you are an MP. I know CDF has gotten some money to build classrooms. The classrooms are full. The teachers, and some of them are not being paid their allowances. There's so much that needs to be done. And many of us feel the president is traveling too much. Some of those people he wants to meet, he can ask them to come to Nairobi. He's not concentrating. He's our head of state. He needs to concentrate. He needs to sit down and solve problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, so that Kenyans can begin to say, good, good, good. Right now, everybody says there's nothing. All the projects the president has promised for the last 1 year, none has started. In fact, I was so relieved when I saw the houses being done in Kibra. At least they have come up. You can see some of these houses being built. There are 2, 3. The point is, my brother, today if I asked you about the policy on the housing appropriate, I am a senator. I don't know. I don't know who's going to buy the house, how much they'll pay. Why is that difficult? Then you have the controller budget comes and says, you see those 2 billion, 12 billion we have collected? I don't know where they are. And nobody in government says anything.
So what is the solution? Because we keep talking about this. They now
The 12 billion we collected, I don't know where it is. The 1.7 trillion we are borrowed, I cannot put a finger on them. Yet somebody is running a government pretending to be serving the interests of Kenyans. Kenyans of goodwill, let's not relent. Douglas says you want the number for Chaga. We don't give numbers here. There's only one number you can use, and that is the one on the screen. And then you give instruction. You want that to go to Chaga or to whoever. That is how we do that. So if you want to support Chaga, you use the number scrolling on the screen and you give us instructions. You want so data to go to Chaga. Thank you. But I'm happy that we are building up. I'm happy you're inviting someone. Please, let's be on the forefront as we share on our country. I want us to dive into this video, giving us analysis on actually what's going on with our country and the Anne Njoroge story about her oil. Let's just listen out to this analysis, even as we wait on you to come forth and speak up.
On the Anne Njoroge story, he is mind-blowing. You know, a cat can look very innocent, a domestic cat, until a mouse appears, and then you actually see the cat expose its very sharp, deadly claws. This is exactly what has happened in this case. After missing for about 4 days, businesswoman Anne Njoroge, who is behind the importation of about 100,000 metric tons of diesel, suddenly reappeared at the court hearing in Mombasa this morning, and she had quite a story to tell. And this story is very instructive. And for anybody doubting my earlier video on this issue, for anybody doubting what is really going on in the country called Kenya right now, something terrible, a Kenya Kwisha thing, on hearing Anne Njoroge's story, should run out of excuses for saying something else is happening. Now, before we go into the movie, that was her experience, actually a horror movie, I would like to draw your attention to a few very disturbing points about the story. Point number one, the businesswoman went to see the cabinet secretary in charge of energy. Now, note very carefully, not the cabinet secretary in charge of internal security, who is supposed to control the police, security forces, DCI, etc., etc. No, she went to see the cabinet secretary in charge of energy. Now, according to her, the CS Energy told her that actually the fuel is in somebody else's name. Now, her response tells us a lot. According to her, she responded to the CS by saying that no, they had not signed any deal. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that there may have been some negotiations. Now, last time I checked, when you negotiate over something, it is willing buyer, willing seller. If the seller is not willing to sell, then there's no way you can force them. There's no way you can bully them. So after seeing the CS, and the CS telling her that actually her cargo is now in the name of somebody else, she protested and said no, she had not reached any agreement. And so what did the CS do next? Further to the DCI to write a statement. Isn't that super fascinating? Why should she go to the DCI to write a statement? Why? People who go to write statements at the DCI are suspected criminals. There was nothing criminal here. This was pure business transactions. Well, what happened to her? Immediately she concluded writing a statement may be the answer to our question of why send her to the DCI. Because she was kidnapped. There is really no other way to describe what happened to her. Hooded men being kept in a room with chains, etc., etc. By the way, if you fast forwarded this video to this section, I am not talking about a movie. I am talking about what has happened in Kenya over the last couple of hours and days. Kweli hii ni serikali ya majambazi. That is now official. And the second very disturbing point is how all these manenos became such a big issue. Yeah. Just after the court appearance this morning, and while answering questions from the media, she exposed and made it very clear where all these problems started. The problem started because she could not get an import license. She applied for it, it was approved, but for over a month it has been wait, tomorrow, next week, wait, tomorrow, next week. That is the game that has been going on. Now this is very sad, because Madam Njoroge did not enter business yesterday. No. She has been in business in Kenya for almost 30 years. And therefore she understands very well how business is carried out. And whatever she has been doing in the past to get things done, she knows very well what needs to be done. Who to see, who to talk to, where to put pressure, where not to put pressure. She knows all that. But in this particular instance, nothing has worked for her, which can bring us only to one conclusion. Her license to import the fuel has been blocked. And it is not too difficult to figure out why. It is very obviously for the purposes of grabbing her consignment. Oh boy, how sad. Now there's a super fascinating tweet from Senator Ledama that gives us even more information on this issue. Yeah, and points us very directly to where all the issues are emerging from. Because what is happening here is the cost and the possible selling price. That is the issue. And this is yet another confirmation that the government-to-government deal is selling overpriced fuel to long-suffering Kenyans. That should be very clear. Now, kindly allow me to give you a heads up before we proceed to part 2 of this mind-boggling, mind-blowing development. At least this information will prove to be valuable to some of us on this channel. Now, we all know that times are very hard. Yeah, and people in business, people want to promote their businesses, are having a very difficult time reaching their potential clients. And you know, this is critical for any business to survive during these hard times. Somehow you have to get business. Now I have the greatest news. This channel reaches a very unique audience. Kenyans in the diaspora, older Kenyans. You know, the channels reach a lot of young people. Yeah, and unfortunately, most young people don't have much purchasing power. But the purchasing power in the views on this channel are huge. And we have proved that. Somebody advertised some land the other day in Naivasha. Within hours of that video going up, it was sold. And we're talking about a double-digit million. And therefore, if you have a product or service that you need to promote, I think you should seriously consider sponsoring a Kumekucha video. Yeah, that means that you get a mention in one of my videos and a lot more to let others know what you're doing. And I'm sure a lot of your potential clients always tune in very regularly to this channel. And therefore it is a fabulous, amazing opportunity for you to reach your audience very cheaply and very effectively. Kindly check in the description area of this video for more details, and then you can also send me an email on that email address you see on your screens right now, or even call directly on that number for more information. Now, of course, space is limited. We already have 1 or 2 people lined up, and it's very limited because we can't do this for everybody, and we do not produce that many videos. Therefore I suggest that you take action immediately so that you don't lose this golden opportunity. Businesswoman Anne Njoroge was kept against her will for 4 days, not in a police cell, not in police custody, but she was held privately at a location where she was taken while blindfolded. Folks, this is what is happening in your country called Kenya right now as we speak. And don't fool yourself for a minute that Madam Njoroge was the first person to be held at this secret location where people are taken blindfolded. Don't fool yourself even for a minute. Don't fool yourself that she's the first person to suffer the harrowing experience of talking to people who are hooded. The entire face is covered. You can only see their eyes, which implies criminal activity. Because why don't you want me to see your face? The only reason can be you can later charge me in a court of law. There is no other explanation. Imagine this is a businesswoman. Her only crime is trying to do business in the country called Kenya. And she reached a situation in her ordeal where she had to beg for her life several times. That's what she told the press. And I believe her. You can see she's still in shock over what happened to her. What kind of people do we have running the country called Kenya? What kind of people are these? How do they think? Are they even fit to be in leadership positions? To be in positions of responsibility over Kenyans? Clearly they are not. Because if this is the way they're operating, then as a country we are done. Remember, we're in the information age. These videos can be viewed from anywhere in the world. So somebody planning to invest in Kenya, planning to bring money into Kenya to set up a factory, will obviously be sent this video by friends. And they'll be told this is a businesswoman in Kenya, a Kenyan, trying to operate in Kenya, trying to do business. And this is what happened to her. So what do you expect to happen to a foreigner from a foreign land trying to do business in the country called Kenya? Oh, God Almighty, help us. And to make matters worse, these people are relentless in their greed. They will stop at nothing. We have had various government organizations come out and give us various different fake stories about Anne Njoroge. The Kenya Post Authority Managing Director, Abwana William Ruto, together with his chairman, came out and told us that her documents are fake. Why are they telling us? See, they produced the evidence in a court of law and charge her. Why do they need to tell the public? Unless they're trying to confuse us as the public, trying to get public sympathy on their side for theft and robbery. I'm sorry, I don't know how to put it any other way. What is this? Really? What is this? Let me just leave it there. Of course, I'll keep you updated. Lakini hapa, ni kubaya. And definitely, Kenya is in a hole. And you know, when you enter a hole, coming out of it is not easy. We're in a hole that will be very difficult to come out of. Very difficult. Courtesy of our leadership and our so-called government. Indeed, it is now very plain and clear that what Azimio were calling the Kenya Kwanza coalition, they're calling them Kenya Kwisha, was actually prophetic. Because what is happening here can only be described as Kenya Kwisha maneno. Now, I've just released weekly intelligence briefings number 115. 116 will be out in the next few hours. Yeah. And there's a very good opportunity of getting hold of my weekly intelligence briefings by taking full advantage of our latest offer on that book, audiobook, The Ruto Kenyans Will Never Know. There is a unique opportunity over the next 24 hours to do so. If you feel that you need this very important content and your budget doesn't quite cut it to enable you to get your hands on it, for the next 24 hours, you can name your price. Lakini usinifinye sana, and for that reason the limit will be 50. Yeah, the first 50 to send me an email. On that email address you see on your screens right now, youmissthis@gmail.com, naming your price. And then guess what? I will also throw in another valuable Kumekucha book. You can choose for yourself, or you can allow me to choose for you. The most liked of my other ebooks, of course, is Dark Secrets of the Kenyan Presidency, How Mutula Kilonzo Sr. was murdered. Yeah. And then there's another one called The President's Lovers. Now that last one of you took it in recently, and they were delighted, very excited about it. And yes, it talks about a Kenyan president. And so, you have this very exciting opportunity. Please take full advantage of it. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here and following our program, participating in the same. I can see some controversy arising from the information being shared. I don't know Anne Njoroge, I must confess, okay? But the information I have about the business and all that, to me, I believe the story. I believe the story in terms of she's not in that business as a newcomer. Nobody goes into business for the first time and invests 17 billion. Even on divine assignment, I don't think so. So there is a lot of propaganda surrounding the story, but what is here is simple. And it started the process of importing oil. You don't import oil today and it arrives at the port tomorrow. It's a long process. It takes months. And so there are some regulations that have been introduced newly by the Kenya Kwanza administration, okay? Like that G2G import, and then particular companies to be the ones to be importing oil. Different from what used to happen during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, where companies used to bid on who imports, and then they were in different categories. So they were doing something like rotation. So this group imports, and then you will buy from them and then sell, things like that. But now, since Ruto came in, took away the subsidies, and then now there is a particular wherever clique that now only them can import. And then that is the really issue here is the price of import. The oil that Anne imported, she imported it cheaper than what they wanted to sell in the market. And so they saw this is a good deal. If she imported it cheaper, they wanted to buy it from her so that they'd be the ones to sell and make a kill. And it appears she wasn't willing to sell, or rather she rejected the offer she was given. And so they began now to use their government connections, machination, or whatever, flexing their muscle to show that they are in power and say, if you either take it or we will take the oil and you will not get anything from it. We'll show you who is who here. That is what is happening here, because DCI, where was DCI to be involved in this? Okay. So it's a saga here, but it's nothing new. It's nothing new in terms of people using their closeness to power to destroy other people's businesses and destroy other people's investments. It is as old as Jomo Kenyatta. A lot of what we are calling land problem in this country and the majority of the evils that happened during Magendo business, it was all people use the name of Mzee. Mzee amesema nichukue, Mzee ameniambia, Mzee amesema. And then every time you invoked Jomo Kenyatta's name, you got away with anything you wanted. And so there is something here that is bigger than what they want you to make out of it. Let's not lose the focus on the main thing. The main thing here is that there is a control system that wants to control the pricing of oil so that the oil in the country sells at a specific amount for specific people to make amount of money. And then that space is controlled in such that there is only the allowed few. If it's free market and you apply the license, why should you be denied to import? Okay? Why should you be denied to import or be taken round and round? And I'm sure they knew she has already booked the oil. The oil will be arriving in 3 months, and the license was supposed to be delivered in 14 days or something like that. So you are taken round and round and round so that they rob you. This is what is happening here. And so I don't think vilifying or finding fault with Anne, in fact, if the oil is not admissible in Kenya, okay, it can be taken elsewhere. She could sell it in Tanzania. She could sell it in Uganda. You sell it elsewhere. Is it not a matter of changing the destination of the whatever, the ship amid stream, amid the high seas? Now the market in Kenya imekataliwa. Let's begin to work on a different venture of selling the oil. So I don't think that what is happening here is government protecting the country or the country being kind of managed in terms of who imports the oil or not. That is neither here or there. There is a calculated move of ensuring that certain people must not make money. It's only the chosen few that should make money now because, one, they are friendly to the administration, so they will sponsor the administration programs. And then, of course, watalinda inaitwa nini ukubwa, watalinda urais. That's what's happening right now. He wants to feel secure because he has given favors to specific people who in the long run are going to stick out their neck in defending him because he knows Kenyans are coming for his neck and the world is coming for his neck because of his excesses. Hiyo tu, na kama that doesn't make sense, to me, I think we are misjudging, okay? I think we are misjudging. All in all, political analysis is also limited to everybody's exposure and their capacity to tie up things, especially when you're not drawing from the historical background of what is being analyzed. You may miss the mark. And on that note, I can see the studio is getting filled, but let's just listen shortly on what Han herself said about what happened. Shortly, and then I will cut it. It's a long video, but I will cut it at an opportune place.
Utafuta karatasi kulingana na vile niliambiwa, nika apply kwa IPRA, na after that ililipwa kama kawaida kama sheria, na nimekuwa nikisubiri kila wakati kupewa import permit ambayo sikuwa ninajua inahitajika. Na wakati tunasubiri nilienda kumuona CS Chirichir, na ndio akaniambia mafuta sio yangu tena, mafuta ni ya kampuni inajiita Garana. Kaambia sijauza mafuta yangu wala sija sign mkataba na hiyo kampuni inajiita Garana, kwa hivyo mafuta ni yangu. Ndio akasema haiwezekani na nifanye kwenda kwa CID headquarters kurecord statement, na nikafanya vile, na kufika pale after kumaliza ndio ilikuwa wakati wangu wa kutoweka, ambaye niliambiwa twende ofisi nyingine tuandikishe statement nyingine, lakini kushuka chini nilipata si ofisi, ni huyo alikuwa anaitwa Karaja na huyo mwingine Yuri, ni Yuris jina ya Kikamba, ambayo waliniambia ya kwamba kama kuna dawa yoyote ninatumia, kama nimekunywa dawa siku hiyo. Nikauliza bona, kwani tuenda ofisini ama ni mambo ya dawa vipi? Wakaniambia tunaenda mahali, na kama uko na dawa unahitaji utuambie, kama una ugonjwa utuambie. Nikamwambia mimi nakunywa dawa zingine lakini sina hapa, nilikuwa nimeacha. Na wakati walinichukua kwa gari, kulingana na wale ofisa wengine walikuwa pale kwa DCIO, niliambiwa nisalende simu yangu na nipeane password, na nikafanya vile, maana niliomba kutio sheria, na nikaigizwa kwa gari. Nikauza mwanipeleka wapi na ni usiku, na mbona mumenitenganisha na wale wengine tulikuwa na wao ambao walikuwa mawakili? Wakasema hiyo haiwahusu. So tulianza kutoka kwenye mlango ya CID headquarters, na nikaona tumeelekea njia ya kwenda Kiambu. So nienda nikiwauliza bona mwanipeleka wapi jamani? Kabia usijali, hakuna shida. Kabia na hisi shida. Wakati tulienda kwa muda ndio nikaomba sasa kuambia tafadhali msiniue. Mimi ni mama, niko na watoto wananihitaji, niko na familia inanihitaji. Naomba msimwage damu yangu. Manake sijakula cha mtu wala sijaiba, ila tu nimeleta mafuta, na sielewi ya kwamba nimetolewa katika DCIA office na ninaelekezwa mahali penye sijui. Wakaniambia tulia, hakuna mambo yote itakufanyikia mabaya. Tulifika mahali ikawa sisi tumetoka kwenye lami tumeingia kwenye Rough Road. Kwambia jamani, ndugu zangu, pia nyinyi mna wazazi wa mama, mlizaliwa na mama, na vile vile mko na wanawake bibi zenu ama wake wenu, mna watoto wanaowahitaji. Jioni mkirudi wanauliza baba umetoka wapi? Pia mimi watoto wangu wananihitaji. Kwa hivyo naomba msiniue tafadhali. Nikaanza kuita jina la Mwenyezi Mungu, baba nisaidie, nasitaki kufa, niache watoto wangu na familia yangu. Wakaniambia haufi. So I keep on calling the name of Jesus, na nikamwambia tafadhali Yesu, tubariki sisi wote tuko kwenye hili gari, utufariji na utusamehe dhambi zetu zote, sisi wote ni wakosaji. Wakaniambia usitetemeke sana mama. Nikamwambia nahisi kuna jambo linatendeka kutendeka. Hapo ndio gari liligeuka na gari nyingine likaja kubwa, sijui nani walikuwa ndani, manake giza ilikuwa nyingi. Wakateremsha kioo na wakaniambia sasa tunakuchukua mahali, lazima ufuate sheria. Nilikuwa nimejifunga hii mtandao. Wakaniambia sasa tunakufunga macho. Naambia jamani, msinifunge macho na msiniue. Wakaniambia tukufunge macho, tukupeleke sehemu tunakupeleka. Wakanifunga macho, wakaniambia ukikosa kufunga na mtadio wako tutakufunga na jacket ilikuwa kwenye gari. Nika obey nifunga na mtadio wangu. Kafungwa na gari kaanza safari. Tulienda kwa muda mrefu kwenye Lafu Road ambao sikujua wapi ninapopelekwa, na nilienda nikililia Mwenyezi Mungu, msiniue. Mimi ni mama, mimi ni mzazi, naomba msiniue. Wakati tulifika pale, niliambiwa sasa tumefika, shuka. Kashukishwa kwenye gari, sijui ni wapi, na hata sasa siwezi kuelezea ni wapi. Na bado nimefungwa uso, hata nyumba siwezi kuambia inakaa vipi, sijui. Nikaigizwa ndani ya nyumba, kiwa nimeshikiliwa nafuata nyayo, mpaka nikaingia kwenye hiyo chumba ambayo iko na mattress tu na chain ya kufungiliwa, na nikaambiwa na takikana niseme ukweli na nisidanganye, manake nikidanganya hiyo ndio itakuwa mwisho wangu wa kuishi na wala sitaona watoto wangu tena. Na nikawaambia yale nimeandikisha katika DCI office, it is truth na haina uongo wowote, na hiyo ndio statement nitafuata mpaka kesho yake. Kaniambia atakuja kesho uamue either utaishi hapa milele wala utaenda kaburini. Nikasema sawa. Wakatoka na wakaenda. Wakasikia umesikia, kesho twaje. Wale waliondoka na nikabaki na security wale walikuwa pale ndani. Ugeweza kuwaona manake wamefunga mwili yote. Unaona tu macho peke yake. Mwili mwingine yote uone, hata mikono huoni. Nikawa na uoga, manake sikujua jambo gani litatendeka. Nyumba hamna dirisha, hamna chochote. Kuna tu stima. Nikaomba, akaniuliza utaenda kujisaidia? Sasa nikafikiria naenda kujisaidia, naenda kumalizwa vipi? Nikamwambia sina mkojo. Kaniambia hapana, nenda ujisaidie urudi. Katoka kaenda kwa choo, nikajisaidia, nikarudi, kaketi na akuja tena. Ilifika masaa, mimi nilikuwa wakati wa kusali na kumlilia Mwenyezi Mungu, okoa maisha yangu Mungu Baba Mwenyezi, okoa maisha yangu, niko na watoto na hisi wakati wangu wa kuaga dunia. Sijakosea lolote wala ni mafuta tu nilileta. Na ilifika wakati my brother was full, na nikaamka naanza kubisha ile mlango. Ile mlango hata ukibisha hakuna mtu atakusikiza. Lakini kuna kamera ambao wanaona mtu akiwa ndani. Nabisha hamna mtu alifungua. So ile wakati nilianza kwenda mbele kurudi hivi, and I start urinating. Nilijikojorea kabisa. Kabisa nilijikojorea. Na wakati nimemaliza kujikojorea, nilisimama na nikarudi nikakalia kwenye ile matresi. Na asubuhi ndio ofisa huyo alikuja, simjui jina yake na hata siwezi kueleza uso wake, maana sikumuona, hawezi onekana. Na ndiye akaniambia unataka kujisaidia? Nikamwambia ndio, lakini nimekuita ukusikia na nilijisaidia, nilijikojorea. Akasema sawa, enda ujisaidie sasa.
Okay, that is the horrific story being given by Anne, and it doesn't add up when you look at it that is being done by a government. Is that how a government works? I don't know. Should they kidnap you and then torture you to get information from you? I thought there was a law against torture, and these things we are hearing, these things we used to hear them during Moi's time. We didn't have much of this of late? Why are they resurfacing? Harun, nitakupatia dakika zako 3, alafu namuona Orange pia amefika. Chaka ndio huyo. Na giza kimezidi, tafadhali tujitahidi, kama sio lazima kamera ikuwe off, put it on please, so that the quality of the video remains. And then natumai unapiga kura ukiendelea tazama na kuparticipate kwa show. Will Kenyans let Ruto succeed in returning Kenya to the terror of Moi-era? Hiyo ndio swali ambalo tungependa wewe ukajibu on both our channels. Tafadhali, let's participate. Haruni, uko hapo?
Mr. Bernard, nipo. Ndio maana middle income tunaumia, yani ndio maana hawa mabilionaires ambao wako hapo katikati, wengine wako juu, wameenda underground, wametuacha tukiwa kwa mataa. Na mimi ndio nimeuliza swali hapo kwa comment section kuwa, je, William Samoei Ruto alizaliwa na mama ama alizaliwa na I don't know, cause kama hiyo puzi inaweza fanyika hivi, tuseme kama ni mamake, kama hakika alizaliwa na mama, how will you feel? Sio mimi mamangu huwezi mfanyia hivi. Tuseme let's say kijana ya huyu mama ni police, baba Mesabana ni police sasa hivi, na ajue kuwa afanye investigation, agundue kuwa fulani ndio walishika mama yao, alafu mama ndio huyo kwa media internationally amesema kuwa walimfanya mpaka akajikojolea, na kuna bunduki, huyo kijana ni police. What will he do? Ataleta maafa. Those guys, they will not leave. It is sad. So this is sad. Jana by the way tulijiuliza tukiwa na Njiru, mabilionaires mbona wamekimya? Hakika tumeanza kuona sababu, kama hakika itakuwa namna hiyo, na sijui kama April wamefanya yale maneno yao, the likes of Siror, the likes of Kipchirchir, ya kina Chumo, sijui kama au mandugu wamefanya ile maneno yao. I don't know, nitafuatilia baadaye nikitoka studioni. Sasa Mesabana, lile kitu na shangaa, hii imefanyika hivi juzi. Rai ndio huyo peupe mchana alikuwa kidnap. Hatujui sasa hivi wale ambao walimuabduct, kidnappers, hatujawajua. Juzi tu yani mama ndio huyo amekuwa kidnapped mchana, hatujaelewa nani walimkidnap. Ni mshangao kuwa yani wale watu ambao ma-investors, huyu mama let's say she was the investor, vira amesema namna, wacha tuchukulie tu hivyo. Hakika huyu ni mama ambaye ni business led, ameajiri watu wengi. Sasa shilingi yetu ya Kenya tutaiokoa namna gani? How are we going to rescue our dying shilling against dollars, against pounds, against kutrade na hizi pesa zingine kwa stock market, kama investors wanafanyiwa hii ujinga yenye government ya Kenya inafanyia my investors. It is wrong. It is wrong. Unajua utamu wa investor kama hawa foreigners akija invest in Kenya, kuna marafiki zake wakati wanamtembelea hizo madollars zina boost our shilling ndio isififie. Wakati marafiki wanatembelea any foreign investor, hao marafiki watakuja waangalie waone how conducive Kenya environment is in terms of business, then watakuja wa invest. Lakini kama ndio haya ambayo yanatendeka na magoigoi wengine ndio, in fact look, sasa hivi budget ndio hii, nimesikia kuna supplementary budget wanaongeza tena 200 billion supplementary budget. Sasa inatoka kwa 3.7 trillion inaenda kwa 3.9 or 4 trillion, and we don't have investors. Oh my God, it is sad. Hiyo ni kitambulisho niko area. Back to you Mr. Bernard.
Okay, thank you. Let's make progress. Orange, you can take it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sound Candid, for allowing me to your studio. Due to that clip you have just played over there, it is very sad. It's unfortunate that the country we knew that Kenya is a good country is not good anymore. If you start a business and you want to invest, instead of you going forward, you find other people are against you. Like now the government, you know, the other day I was asking myself, how can Ruto go to Saudi Arabia to look for jobs, and when he's back in the country, he's raising the fees for passports and whatever? Is he having a good motive to the people who wants to go outside there and work and then send the money back to our homeland? It is so unfortunate. You see, it's raising everything. Right away now, if I'm very sure, if that oil was to be in our country right away now, the high cost of prices could have reduced in a retro while. But now you see, yeah, it means those guys, they know what they are doing over there. They don't want Kenyans to live a life in which they can afford. They want Kenyans to be beggars. They want Kenyans to start begging the government the way they are begging the government to reduce the prices. That's how those guys are so happy. I can see so many beneficiaries, like those like Chelagay, who stands before and saying that, oh, you know, Malema should be apologizing to the president. While you know that you are messed up with the country, that the president has messed up with the country, he is no longer going to be recognized as the president of Kenya again. Otherwise, Kenya is a no-go zone. Kenya has become a very, very bad country, more especially for those people who want to invest. Right away, everything is high. Everything is high. We cannot afford anything. Why don't we ask ourselves, why are we importing even the toothpicks? Why are we importing tissue papers? We have so many resources in the country, which are supposed to help ourselves, which are supposed to help us. But finally, you find that the country is moving from dark to more darkness. You know, we really lose a moral or a motive of justice, speaking or standing before our friends here and saying that we came from a good country. No, Kenya has become a very, very bad country. It is unfortunate. I'm so sad. I'm so sorry for that woman whom they want to kill because of the likeness, because of his own things, because he wanted to help other Kenyans, because he wanted to create employment to other Kenyans. It's unfortunate that the same government is the one which is eating these children. It is unfortunate, my friend. Very, very unfortunate. Back to the studio.
Thank you so much, Bona Orange. Mute your mic, please. Okay. Asante sana. Nashukuru kila mmoja, tafadhali naomba tumakinike. Before we bring Chaga again to share something, let me just bring in a follow-up video on the same issue. Maybe two of them, short ones this time round. Not that one, although that is more communist mess.
Like for real. Guys, this is Terminal 1C. That's how it's raining. It's leaking all over.
Serving. Is it the West? Whose interests is the president serving? Is it the West? Is it IMF?
Imepotea.
Is it the World Bank? Or is it Kenyans? Because we cannot be poster boys of the West during the day and Pan-Africanists at night. We need to have a stand. We talk about sending our police officers to Haiti. That thing sits so bad with me, with the level of crime in this country. And you know, in Haiti, the guys who are causing those problems there are not just your normal magas hao wanakunyonga hapa ukitembea town unachukua simu. Some of those guys are paramilitary. So you're sending our cops who can't even deal with Pokot to go and fight guys who are well trained in Haiti.
Wait. Why are you undermining?
No, I'm just being honest. You know, we have to be honest. Because if they could, why would we send the army there? So at the end of the day, we have to be serious. And the government, you know, there is this craze of fighting for global acceptance. We are busy in and out. You know, like the president is like a traveler. You know, he would be a very perfect brand ambassador for one of those travel agencies we have in this country. He comes in, launches something, is in a conference, board and lodging, ametoka, he's gone somewhere. And that's why you see 1.4 billion in travel. So at the end of the day, we have to be serious. It's 1 year down the line. Promises that were meant to be achieved have not been achieved. When will they be achieved? Or are they waiting for towards elections, then they lower the prices of things and tell you, by the way, you see, we met a dilapidated economy. You suffered for 2 to 3 years. As we are suffering, someone has now moved from an LX 600 to the 2022 Range Rover. And he's telling us the dilapidated economy. His office was renovated at 1.4 or 1.3 billion, courtesy of the letter sent by Ukuri Yatani to Parliament. So you ask yourself, which country are we living in? Who is lying to us? But clearly there's money. But where the money is being spent, it is not a necessity. So at the end of the day, you have to wake up as Kenyans and decide whether you want to be in this charade or you want to take matters into your own hands. The question on opposition. We do have an opposition courtesy of the fact that someone lost. Courtesy of some those who are in government and those who are meant to play a role that they call opposition. But the constitution doesn't have something like opposition. That's why they're trying to put in the constitution right now. Because you have either leader of majority or minority. So they're trying to come up with that office, which I support, but I don't look at it as a Raila office, even though we're being told he has one more bullet. Risasi ya sita. Na hii ya sita itachukua kiti ya sita. So at the end of the day, we have to look beyond him, one or another. There are those who are talking about succession. But you see, the young people in this country have to wake up and realize that if you're going to wait for your leaders to always speak for you, or you're going to be lost. Yeah. Personally, I lost hope in Parliament. I don't have a Parliament. I don't even consider myself a member of Parliament, and I have one. Because I know they could care less about what I would want. Just look at how things are run in that house. Look at how they vote. Look at the bills that come there. if they're people-centric, we wouldn't be having the issues that we have. So you have to rise up to the occasion and rise beyond one, ethnic voting. Because if you vote as per your ethnic divide or as per your faith, your education is useless. You have to ask yourself, what does this person offer me? That's why I said voting is more or less about interest. What interest is person X granting you as opposed to person Y? Like, ukiamuka wewe, you're just voting because this area is meant to be this party. So you vote, now is it 9 piece, not 6 anymore. So you vote an entire 9 piece going up. Any clown that is in that party just gets in. And then when they get into office, you start ranting on Twitter and Facebook. You cannot be doing the same thing every single election period, expecting different results. So we have to, in as much as we talk about how leaders end up in office and they don't serve us, you have the power of putting them there. Jim just talks about recall. Why haven't we ever recalled a member of parliament, for example? I'd love to do that. I'm actually thinking about it right now. Because at the end of the day, you look at the interests they serve. Most of them forget that even if you're in Kenya Kwanza, you have an oversight role. Again, wanakuambia hiyo kazi oversight ni Azimio. So you ask yourself, you're never in parliament once, so you don't legislate. You don't do oversight. So wewe tu, it's following either the president, the deputy, or Madividi, who's waiting for his seat to be enshrined in the constitution because he's not safe. There's a court case, he's not safe. So you ask yourself, when will they ever work for you? So it's 1 year down the line, we're waiting to see. I am giving the benefit of the doubt. Already I'm in doubt. There's no more benefit. I'm in doubt, so whatever comes, I'll just be like, I knew it. But they have time to change. Speaking about the issue of NYS as I conclude, the easiest way to help the young men and women in this country is courtesy of a ministry held by or led by one person called Ababu Namwamba. The day he realizes that he can help reduce the issue of unemployment, courtesy of arts and sports, would be a better country. I've just seen right now the president has signed something with NBA. Now, I'm a fan of basketball. That is good. They're trying to inculcate it into schools. My question is, I used to play football back in school. I don't play anymore. My question is, after school, what happens? That's a talent that is never tapped. And that is the question. Because we always talk about how they were supposed to take another promise. Ababu Nambo to take golf to schools. I don't know how that, if it ever happened. So at the end of the day, do you have a plan on how you nurture talent? Because you just can't start it, and then once it's there, it's ready to be nurtured. We leave it. Okay. So let us have a solution where we have a plan, implementation, and fulfilling of the plan.
All right.
Ni kama changa metupwa nje. All the same, ladies and gentlemen, you can hear what's happening with Kenya and what Kenyans are feeling about the whole scenario. The question that person there asked, a very important one, whose interest is William Ruto serving? Kenyans or foreigners? Is he here to work for Kenya or against Kenya and against Kenyans? Well, we have a lot that we need to weigh on. And the only thing I can urge us to ensure that we don't relent on is push for a better Kenya. Kenya deserves better, and we can only ensure that by insisting on the same. Thank you. On the comment section, I can see very active involvement. Elizabeth Anyango say we have two governments, the Kenya Kwanza government, and they are all competing to import oil. It's about competition for their own interests. Very sad, very sad. EPRA reduces diesel and kerosene. That deal exposed them. They had to drop the price. They probably took that consignment. They dropped the price. Diesel and I think kerosene went up by 20 shillings. They have reduced 2 shillings. Hata kama ni wewe. Hiyo si mchezo. Went up by 20 shillings. Then you reduce 2 shillings. That's a joke. I think these guys are not serious. Of course, your mafuta, there's a video I was, I don't know what happened to it. Let me see. Did I? No, it's not that one. There's one where Ombeta gives the scenario that mafuta yamechukuliwa na serikali imeweka kwa pipe yao kunyang'anya huyu na wakafukuza huyo captain, wakamuonya akiendelea kusema mafuta ilikuwa ya atafanya nini? Hataruhusiwa tena kurudi na mizigo hapa Mombasa. So it is grabbing, and it's all because certain people, certain communities should not be doing that business. That space is a reserve of the chosen few, and if you're not among the chosen few, you shouldn't interfere with that. Na ukijaribu kuleta mafuta utanyang'anywa. Kwa hivyo mjue hivyo. That is the Kenya that Ruto is running, and that's the Kenya Ruto wants you to accept. The question is, are you going to accept that? Are you going to lie low kama bahasha ili utembelewe juu yako ama kutakuwaje? Sylvester Daudi anasema, could you bring Kaucho and team back to give us updates on the opening of Wananchi Bunge in 47 counties? Citizen rebellion, protest and riot is the only way out of this mess. Agree with you. We must engage in civil disobedience and issue out protests to contain and handle Ruto effectively. Bunge la Wananchi is a very fluid issue at this point in time, because I don't want to promise anything. I will do what I can. But what I see is like there has been taking over of Bunge la Wananchi. The UDA people are not doing good with the Bunge la Wananchi. They are messing it up from its original agenda to their own agenda. And you notice that some of the people that were on the forefront into speaking or rather being vocal about a better Kenya and wanting Kenya to be wherever governed rightly, have turned either comedians or pro-government, and they are talking about 2027, 2032. That's not how to handle the situation at the moment. But all in all, we'll do what we can. All I believe is that the civil society and Kenyans, ordinary Kenyans like you and me, should lead the way in this struggle. We can't play games anymore. So whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you're up to, please make sure that you're on the forefront. Na ni saa 8 asubuhi masaa ya Afrika Mashariki. Sipasi kuwa hapa. So Njiru, kama upo Kenyan would love na hiyo timu yako, njooni hapa muhesabike, la sivyo tutaonana kwa hiyo masafa mengine. Nani huyu? Collins, ni Collins yupi huyu? Put on your camera. Harun, unaweza kuchangia kiasi kama upo?
Lazima nichangie. Kwanza hiyo video yenye imetoka, ningependa kusema namna hii. Mimi members of parliament hao wenye waliacha finance bill 2023 ikapenyezwa kimanguvu, ambayo imemasaka watu wetu kimfuko namna hii through because of high taxation. Hata mimi hao bunge wetu I lost hope kwao kabisa. Na jambo lingine, huyo bana vile aliuliza swali mzuri, Ruto anaserve nani? Huyu jamaa mwenye anaishi bana, anaishi angani, anaishi angani tu kwa ndege. Unafikiri anaserve wa Kenya? This is a person ambaye anaserve IMF, anaserve donors, anaserve World Bank, na anaserve masters ambao walimweka kwa hiyo kiti. A simple as that, asafu wa Kenya. Kama angekuwa anasafu wa Kenya, haungekuwa unafanyia angekuwa na allow mapolisi wana kidnap watu mchana namna hii. Yeah? It is wrong. Yeah? It is wrong. So hiyo ndio hiyo. Kama kuna Mkenya anafikiria kuwa Ruto anasafu interest yao, utashangaa sana. Au kama mtu anaficha mesabana, anaficha pesa yote, anataka aiachilie 2026 ameficha. Hakuna development zinafanyika, ameficha tu, anataka kuambush watu aje. Maybe sasa last time alikuwa anapatia the so called hustlers, alikuwa anawapatia 500 sijui 1000 ama 200. Sasa hizi zote zenye anakusanya kutoka kwa huyu mama na wengine koza hata wacha. So maybe atakuwa anawapatia sasa ngiri 2 ama ngiri 5, then kutoka hapo utaona tu wengine wakienda wakimpigia kura. So it is very very sad, lakini mimi ningependa kusema namna hii. Manze, tuliona hapo nyuma, tuliona about sijui kama amesabana, tunakumbuka the total man kutoka Auckland yeah, he was hakuwa mchezo, but where is he now? Hata mimi hapo ndio naenda. So power, uongozi uongozi ni kama maua manze, unakuja leo, kesho hauko. Hata mimi nashangaa sasa William Samoei Ruto anafanyia Wakenya namna hii. What if yule president mwenye atakuja after yeye ni mtu atamkimbisha, hata hakuna nchi yenye itamwalao atue. Nakwambia si ajabu, uko na ndege angani, unaomba airport ya kutua, hauwezi ukatua. Kila mahali kumewekwa nini, information imekuwa sent kuwa hiyo ndege msialao itue, we want that person back to the country, akuje kuwa prosecuted. You never know. Sasa hizi mali zote zenye mtu atakuwa amekusanya katika njia ya upatilifu, where will it go? It cannot help your kids. Haiwezi ikasaidia watoto wako. So wakati umejipata katika kiti, hata kama ndio umeipata kwa njia ambayo si halali, wacha kutumia kiburi. It is wrong kutumia kiburi na kualao mapolisi. Unajua sasa huyo mama vile alikuwa ana describe au mapolisi vile walikuwa wamejifunga. nina relate Mr. nina relate na the likes of SFC wa Uganda, the way wanajifunika, wanafaa nguo za black, wamejifunika kila mahali wakati wanapoenda kuattack maybe Bob Wine, ama wakati wanapoenda kuattack supporters wa Bob Wine, hivyo ndio wanajifunga, wamevaa black, macho tu peke yake ndio unaona. So yani ni criminals wako in uniform kuterrorize mama zao, kuterrorize wa Kenya. Oh, it is very sad, it is very sad. So Ebra, nimesikia vile umesema wamefanya hiyo kitu. So it is wrong. Huwezi ukaongezea watu price ya 30 shillings au 20 shillings, alafu wakati unarudisha na 10 bob, unarudisha na 2 bob, na ilari mafuta ndio hii umeibia mama umeibia mama, mafuta iko kwa market. Alafu mnashukisha na 2 bob ama 1 shilling. That is a joke. Hiyo ni joke ya hali ya juu. Halafu mambo ya youth aki unashangaa vijana wetu, how are we going to help them? How are we going to help them? Yani in fact zile priorities ambazo inastahili government iwe imeziweka mbele, kama sasa in terms of unemployment, unemployment hapo ndio pesa mingi zingekuwa pumped in, tuone kama tunaweza okoa hii meli ya vijana yenye iko karibu kutumbukia chini ya bahari man. Cause now vijana ambao ndio uti wa mgongo, sioni kama kuna vile Mr. Bernard tutaokoa vijana wetu, cause our economy, in fact our economy ina rely sana kwa hizi nguvu za vijana wetu, ndiposa tupige hatua. Lakini priorities zenye hii government inatilia ambazo inatilia mkazo haziko. By the way, nimeona kwa hii new supplementary budget yenye Ndindi Nyoro amepropose ya 200 billion. Mr. Bernard, wanasema kuwa wanaenda kulipa madeni, alafu by January unga itashuka. Yani nani aliwaambia kuwa sisi yani everything imekuwa summed up, kama ni unemployment, kama ni mambo ya health, kama ni mambo ya yani kama ni mambo ya education, yani imeletwa into kurudisha unga chini. These guys they are not talking about tourism, ambayo nimesikia kama Uthuge Central Bank Governor Mr. Bernard akisema kuwa tourism imerudi chini. Amecontradict his boss ambaye ni Gachagua, ambaye juzi ametuambia kuwa tourism imeimprove, whereby hotels in Mombasa and Masai Mara they are full. Sasa ikiwa tourism haija iko chini namna hiyo, na hii tourism ndio tungewahi hizo pesa hizo dollars hizo pounds zikuje kutusaidia mambo ya kufufua hii shilingi yetu ambayo imetumbukia kwa shimo. So these are the things ambazo I was expecting maybe Ndindi Nyoro na how 20 chairmen from yani zile committees za parliament, hizo ndio priorities wangeweka mbele, but it is sad. So Mr. Bernard, sitaki kuongea mengi, nimeona kuna bana ameingia, so sukani na urejesha kwako, umlete baba.
Thank you, Harun, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everybody. Please, let's be on the forefront of engaging, and of course, we must fight for a better Kenya. The better Kenya will require your input. So Don't relent on this. This is a war we must fight and win. And for us to win with that, we must refuse to give up. Things may look ugly, may look bleak, but we must never lose hope as far as getting this country in position is concerned. Collins, just hold on. I'll play a short clip, then you can weigh on what we are discussing. And my guys, tafadhali naomba Njiru resurface.
Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala, sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura wa...
Collins, how are you? Bana Collins, unmute. Yes.
Yes. I'm getting you live from here in Nairobi. My official name is Collins Muliro Webi, a nurse by profession, working under Nairobi County, formerly Nairobi Metropolitan NMS. First and foremost, I like to say that for people like me and those who used their brain capacity well prior to election, the scenario or the situation that is existing at the moment in our country did not come as a surprise, because we already knew that this will happen. We use our level best to convince our colleague not to think about electing the deputy president then and the current president, because we knew that is a replica of the second president of the Republic of Kenya, that is Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, and as a replica and his student, of course we expect the obvious. What is happening at the moment in our country is very sad. One thing that most Kenyans don't know, Ruto used to brand himself as a hustler. He says that he has never been employed. He has never been employed by any government institution before joining the politics. But what people don't know is that William Samoei Ruto joined politics when he was around 30 years old, and prior to that, he was a student in the University of Nairobi UN, and somehow he was a member of Young KANU. And for those who are over 30 years old, we are aware that by then, if you are a member of Young KANU, you are somehow being sponsored. Basically, this means that Ruto lives in campus was not that difficult. So he doesn't understand the plight of a common mwananchi, and like contrary to what majority of his supporter believed. And I was listening to one of the clip the other day, and people are in a burial in a Bungoma County in a place called Bumula, whereby some MPs said that Raila should just hide, he should not say anything, and I support that, because people are saying, especially from Mount Kenya region, they are saying that that maandamano is costing their business a lot. And actually, at the moment, I think they are feeling the pinch more. The current economy cannot support their business. They are suffering. At the moment, the common mwananchi cannot take his or her child to university. The school fee for the university is very high. The former president, the late Moi Kibaki, did a lot of good to this country by bringing free primary education. His successor, Uhuru Kenyatta, brought free secondary education for day scholars. But Ruto is doing the opposite of what he promised. I'm wondering what you are going to do. He purported to be a Christian at some point, and he was even supported by Christian. Example is Bishop Ole Sapit. But now they have realized that they say the Christian, or they say the Jesus in quotes, that is William Samoei Ruto, is no longer visiting them. He's no longer giving them 200 million of what he was used to be. And in fact, when he was doing that, it was just campaign. He was not out of his heart as an offering, because Mr. Bernard, most of the time, the offering that he used to give in Central Province, and you cannot compare the Central Province and Northeastern. I have never had him contributing for construction of mosque in Northeastern or in Turkana, where people are in need of money. But he used to donate a lot of money in Central Province. Although we have some poor people in Central Province, but you cannot compare the level of poverty of Turkana and Central Province. So it is indeed sad. And the bad news is that although some people are saying that they are going to vote him out in the forthcoming election 2027, but according to me, it is going to be very difficult, because apart from having the system, Ruto is holding on to the money, and towards around, as my colleague has just said, as Mr. Aaron has just said, by about 2026, he'll start to release that money. He'll start to do some development, and then again, people will be convinced that ideally the economy was bad and the president is doing good, and then they will elect him. Then after 2028, the situation will even become more worse. I think it is high time we should do the needful, what other people in other countries are doing, whereby the power belongs to people. We should come out and demand for our rights. We should come out and demand that the price of basic commodities should be reduced. This demonstration should not only be coordinated by the opposition figures. No, it should be coordinated by citizens themselves. Because at the moment, whether you voted for Wajakoya, Raila, or Dr. William Samoei Ruto, we are suffering the same plight. In fact, those who voted for Ruto are suffering the most, because they expected that life will be better. Unlike those who voted for Azimio, they knew that when Chebukati announced that William Samoei Ruto is the winner, they knew that life is going to be worse. But on the contrary, the KK supporters, that is the Kenya Kwanza supporters, they expected that the cost of living will be lowered. But now they are feeling the pinch. So this is a lesson. It reminds me, this rings a bell in the book of Samuel. I am not conversant with the Bible, but God told the Israelites that the king that you are demanding is going to torture you, is going to make you suffer more. But the Israelites rejected that idea. It did not hit that idea and say that they demanded the king, the visible king that they could see. And a moment later, they started suffering. Saul did punish the Israelites, and that is exactly what is happening in Kenya. Another people are letting us down are people who don't vote, because if you don't vote, you are giving a person, you are indirectly electing a bad leader. And on top of that, also, people are electing leaders basing on party line. One of the things that made President Kibaki to succeed, President Kibaki didn't head the majority in the parliament, meaning he was kept underchecked by the opposition. That's why he was able to present good bills in parliament. But unlike now, because Ruto has the majority and he has a tendency of threatening the members of the parliament, that's why they are passing heinous bill like financial bill, which is torturing people, like raising the fee for ID replacement, passports, etc. This is very sad. And we are told that when the Kenya Kwanza MPs were in the meeting in the State House, some of the MPs say that they are becoming unpopular. It is quite that the MPs are not worrying about the high cost of living, but they are just worrying about their popularity. And to make the matter worse, President Ruto answered them that it is not necessary for them to be popular and all the times. They need only to be popular when the electioneering is approaching. That is very sad. Thank you. That is my submission.
Okay, thank you, Collins, for that outlook on the whole scenario. It's interesting. But what we have here is the country is at stake. The future of this country is no longer secure. And as responsible Kenyans, we can't take this lying down. And so we encourage everybody, like we always say on this platform, make noise in your space, make noise in your little way so that this country does not lose everything. William Ruto and team, I don't think they have anything better for this country. If they had it, we would have seen it by now. All they are after is to milk this country to death, and so we shouldn't do that. Somebody sent this one by, he call it Otienes. Otien As. He says, Murkomen is flying from Nairobi to Kisumu to plant 1 tree, then from Kisumu to Mombasa to plant 1 tree. Cost of chartered flights from Nairobi to Kisumu is roughly 200,000 K and 300K. Okay, from Kisumu to Mombasa. The cost of a tree seedling, even if it is very expensive, it can never go beyond 200 shillings, Kenya shillings. So basically, Murkomen is using 500,500K to plant 2 trees worth 500 shillings. Remind me of my uncle who traveled to Bomet, from Bomet to Mombasa to demand payment from his brother who owed him 700 shillings. Now that is the kind of people we are dealing with. And this is not new. It's not just in tree planting. It includes the 200,000 they are giving into sadakas, and then the choppers running around the country in the name of they're going for church service, Thanksgiving. They will spend millions on the road and submit 1 million or submit 2 million. You have spent 200 million, you're escorting 5 million to a church fundraiser and all that. So the extravagant expenditure of this administration, the carelessness in the, or rather the mismanagement of the taxes that are being forcefully taken from Kenyans is too much. And that's why things are falling apart. You cannot sustain an economy by fleecing it, by letting it leak out. Everything that comes in leaves. And now they have gone to the parliamentarians again, seeking for more money. And like somebody said very well, the Kitui member of parliament, this is the most useless parliament ever in the history of this country. And so as we dive into this conversation, I really want us to keep the eye on the ball. And like Mzee Ngige is reminding us, Ruto must go. The #1 problem of this country is Ruto. The only solution to this country is get rid of Ruto. How and when, that should be decided by Kenyans. But we will not get rid of Ruto by ballot. We must get rid of Ruto by force. That's another gear you must accept. We will get rid of Ruto by force. Just like he got into office by force, we should get rid of him by force. These other things of negotiation, dialogue, 2027, let him get to 2027, you will never get rid of him. So Kenyans, msahau your story of getting rid of Ruto by vote. Let's get rid of Ruto by force. And I'm saying that because from the look of things, hakuna njia nyingine ya kudili na Ruto isipokuwa wananchi kukasirika na kutekeleza wajibu wao kama Wakenya. Quick video as I begin to close. Kama Njiru hatatokea basi muda wangu haupo.
Ati wanataka kuendelea ati kukopa pesa. Tunataka tuwaambie hii serikali ya mahasla tutabadilisha hiyo maneno. tutawachana na kukopa pesa. Ile budget tuko nayo sasa inatufanya tukope karibu shilingi bilioni 900.
Katika mashindano ya kutafuta mtu mwongo zaidi, yani the biggest liar competition yanayofanyika mwezi wa 11 kila mwaka nchini Uingereza, huyu bwana ameshinda taji hilo mara 7 la kuwa mtu mwongo zaidi duniani. Huyu jamaa anaweza kukudanganya ukaamini bila shaka ya kwamba ni ukweli, lakini kumbe ni uongo mkubwa. Inasemekana miaka ya nyuma kidogo, hili shindano baadhi ya watu walikuwa wana
energy is a government keen to ensure that we suffer and to announce it in advance. Use all alternative facts other than what our institutions have offered to tell us we are getting to 300. And you know, Kenyans use memes, and I think this government just listens to memes. Because you started by saying they cited that soon the government will blame Hamas for our problems. They have done it. Kenyans started saying, wacha kuongeza hii bei pole pole, fikisha 300, 1,000. Here is a CS who decides, I will announce that. Why would a government take on a strategy of making people feel desperate and hopeless? Already, due to the current increase in fuel prices, we have seen a reduction in taxes collected around petroleum. I am sure by the time, whether it is KNBS or other actors like ourselves analyze the state of the economy because of the current taxation and energy costs in this country, it will point to a very dire situation. So the recklessness of government, and it's not just at the CS level, it is at all levels. From the presidency, I doubt Honorable Moi-era has made any address so far, or has even been allowed to be the one who comes to announce anything. The mixed messaging of this government that does not communicate their philosophy, their stand at any given point is very, very problematic. Since Kenya Kwanza took power, we have told them to work on their communication strategy. They are leading a country through an economic crisis, and they themselves have decided to create a governance crisis. So I'm not sure what the president would be reporting around the governance crisis of corruption, of all these lack of facts from within government. So as we address these particular things, can the government keep quiet? They're supposed to analyze it very well and communicate factually. That factually is very, very important. If you must bring us this bad news, they must. Government has an obligation to ensure that we access information that is factual. And actually, I'd take it, it's the governance week. I'd take it a notch higher. Commissioner Kasait, ODPC, when government misleads us around data protection issues, please, the same way you're finding hospitals, media houses, and other people who share lists, these government officials need to be held accountable, because you're allowing us to keep running on propaganda, false information, and disinformation. We rally ourselves and respond to that. Because in the case of CS Chirchir, CBK has given you guidance. Why would you go for the Financial Times? What are you saying about CBK?
Itself indicates that up to 80% of that 56,000 teachers were hired on short-term contracts, Mr. Speaker. And only 20% of those are permanently employed. That is something you need to say to the state, to the nation, so that we know the true state of affairs when it comes to the hiring of our teachers. Mr. Speaker, let me continue. He also announced that in September, or that in June of this year, his administration would employ 103 community health promoters. And we saw him flagging of distribution of 100,000 kits to be used by those people. Mr. Speaker, the fact of the matter is that that is not true. That is not true. In fact, counties are supposed to identify the people to be recruited as CHPs, and that progress is ongoing. So you cannot claim something has happened, yet it has not happened, just to massage the numbers and appear like your government is working. Next, Mr. Speaker, he told us, I am on the speech. These are contents of the president's speech. I'm not
what
making
is the
up
point
anything.
of order?
Thank you, Speaker. I had to interrupt the Senator for Nairobi. The 100,000 community health promoters were launched on Mashujaa
Are you
Day.
on a point of information
Yes.
or a point of
Is
order?
in order, Mr. Speaker, to mislead the House without giving us evidence to support his claim that we did not recruit 100,000 community health promoters? We did.
Mr.
Senator
Speaker,
Sifuna, is your assertion factual?
Mr. Speaker, I represent a county.
If indeed...
I represent a county.
Senator Sifuna, if it's factual, let it form part of those factual claims that you...
Please, I will substantiate whatever is required for me to substantiate, because, Mr. Speaker, the truth is the only weapon we have against the lies that are there in the world. Mr. Speaker, let me go to the question of recruitment of healthcare workers. Told us 20,000 healthcare workers have been employed. This one is also not true. In fact, the reports we have are that only about 1,200 interns were deployed to hospitals since the beginning of the year, not the 3,394 that the President spoke about. Let me conclude, Mr. Speaker, on the question of Wi-Fi hotspots. And this one, if you want me to substantiate, I will take you to the hotspot. We were told that he has set up Wi-Fi hotspots across the country, including here in Nairobi County, in markets such as Muthurwa and city markets. This one, I will just invite you to carry your devices to city market. It is walking distance here, Mr. Speaker. And you will see that, in fact, those things do not work. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the famous one of Hustler Fund.
Senator Sifuna, are you saying it wasn't, it's not working, or it wasn't provided?
Mr. Speaker, I have told this House on previous occasion that, in fact, I have 20 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I was present with the CS for ICT at City Market on the day of the launch. Weeks later, I was being called by traders there that that thing no longer works, and that is the current situation today. Mr. Speaker, let me finish with the question of the Hustler Fund. First, people need to understand one thing, that what Mama Mboga needs is the purchasing power of their customers to grow or to be retained at the level at which it was. It is pointless for you to give Mama Mboga a loan to expand, quote unquote, their business, and yet you are raiding the pockets of our customers in a way that it is impossible for them to spend money at Mama Mboga's stall. Number two, Mr. Speaker, the CBK data shows that the default rate of the loans borrowed under this Hustler Fund is higher than the ones of commercial banks. Mr. Speaker, of the 10.2 billion shillings that is outstanding.
What is your point of order, Senator Veronica?
The Senator for Nairobi, Senator Sifuna, in order to indicate that the default rate is as he's reading. Should he not issue substantiated reports, Mr. Speaker? These are based on facts, and we are allowing too many things to pass, Mr. Speaker, without demanding for accuracy of the information that is being given to this House. Mr. Speaker, the Senator for Nairobi would need to substantiate that fact on the Hustler Fund and the loan repayment and the default rate, and also substantiate the fact that the Wi-Fi are not working, Mr. Speaker, sir. And to substantiate on the Wi-Fi, he will need a technical report to actually show, to actually express that these Wi-Fi are not working. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that those Wi-Fi are working, even the one in Nairobi. And if it is not so, then let him bring a substantiation report based on fact, technical, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, on the Wi-Fi, you may not be able to substantiate right away. Are you able to substantiate on the default on the loan repayment?
Mr. Speaker, you can give me some credit as the person who represents the traders at these markets. I am in constant communication with these people. We are not talking about Wi-Fi in Kiambu. We are talking about Wi-Fi in Nairobi. The people I represent.
Very well.
If you want to substantiate whether Wi-Fi is working, you go there and try it.
Senator Sifuna,
go there and try it.
Senator Sifuna, there is a point of order that has been raised.
The second one,
and
Mr.
I'm
Speaker.
proceeding to
Yes.
make a ruling on it.
The second one.
One, this is my ruling on the point of order raised by Senator Veronica. Just take a seat. One, you've been called upon to substantiate on the issue of Wi-Fi. That you cannot do right away because certainly you need a technical report. So again, you will bring that substantiation tomorrow as you substantiate on the earlier point of order. Then there is some facts you need to substantiate the issue of default on repayment of the loans from the hustler vis-a-vis the commercial loans. Are you able to substantiate right now? Proceed to substantiate.
Mr. Speaker, you know, we should not engage here in what we call kizungu mingi. This is a term of art we use here in Nairobi. That when people are unable to explain to the wananchi what they have done, they want reports, technical reports. What technical report does a trader in Muthurwa need to know that when he tries to log in, the thing is not working? On the question, yes, on the question of the default rate, Mr. Speaker, these are the figures from the CBK. Mr. Speaker, can I be allowed to proceed? I am the most interrupted senator in this house. For heaven's sake.
Order, honorable senators. Allow the senator. You have raised a point of order. Let the senator substantiate. Thereafter, you will rise on your point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, the question of the default rate is a question of math and your capacity to comprehend math. 10.2 billion shillings outstanding as loans. 3 billion out of that, Mr. Speaker, which is almost 30%, is listed as non-performing loans. Now, you don't need to be a genius to know what non-performing loans mean. Then you take that figure of 30%, Mr. Speaker, compare it with the figure of default in commercial banks. You will see which one has a higher default rate. And I will provide that evidence, in fact, tomorrow, of what the current default rate for commercial loans are vis-a-vis the default rate.
That's exactly what.
Yeah, that is very simple for me to do, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude.
What is your point of order, Senator Kenyan?
Mr. Speaker, the senator of Nairobi cannot assume or pretend, Mr. Speaker, he monopolizes Muthurwa market. The President of the Republic of Kenya, William Moi-era Ruto, represent those people. They voted for him the way they voted for him. So he cannot pretend by saying, every time he's standing here to speak, Mr. Speaker, to say I represent those people. They call me every day. They call the President as well. They call us as well, Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order?
The point of order, Mr. Speaker, is 105, Mr. Speaker. He is misleading this House.
Senator Sifuna, in reference to the people of Nairobi, you have to know that the people of Nairobi voted for 6 leaders. All those 6 leaders represent the people of Nairobi, including His Excellency the President. Kindly proceed.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. It is also important for you to note that of the 6 people who were elected in Nairobi, I received the highest votes of those 6 people, including more votes than the President in Nairobi. So I speak for more people than him. Mr. Speaker, let me finalize by saying, unfortunately for me, I don't get the privilege of putting, televising my telephone conversations with the traders in Muthurwa and the traders in the other markets, Mr. Speaker, like the President was pretending to do. But the truth of the matter is these people communicate with their leaders. Let me finalize, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna, you need to start using parliamentary language.
What's unparliamentary?
You know, when you say the President was pretending.
Mr. Speaker, that was obviously a staged call. Everybody can see in the video. It was a staged call, and we should call it for what it is.
Senator Sifuna, I'm guiding you. If you proceed in that manner, you know exactly what will befall you. Proceed.
Speaker, let me finalize by addressing the question of some of the reasons that the President gave for what tribulations Kenyans are going through. And Mr. Speaker, for the first time, the head of state acknowledged that events outside of Kenya have a bearing on the state of the nation. And he cited the Ukraine war. And Mr. Speaker, of late, we are hearing that in fact, the war in Gaza might even affect the prices of fuel. This is a radical departure from the position that the president took during the campaigns. He, in fact, dismissed any involvement or any role of outside events, including the war in Ukraine that began before the election, in the state of the nation, that he has chosen now to turn and
Senator. No, we took note of those objections. Senator Roba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the statement of the President, and as I rise to support, I would like to single out a few issues that I identified with as a leader.
Hala popote ulipo, kwa bahati nzuri tu wananiita Al-Ustaz Pasua Nuhu Zuberi Bakari. Shairi lengu la leo nawaambia wanaomshauri rais wetu Mheshimiwa Ruto wamwambie ukweli kidogo, na nakwenda kama utakavyolisikia. Imetufika na kama mambo yameharibika, maisha sasa ni noma, bingwa anaibika. Leo barua natuma ili kwa Ruto kufika, mpeni bingwa ukweli, wa Kenya wanaumia. Ewe bingwa muadhama, raisi Kamanda Ruto, pasua nimechutama, naleta habari nzito, wazee na kina mama wanapitia majuto, mpeni bingwa ukweli, wa Kenya wanaumia. Pengine hawajasema hao vigogo wapambe, ya kwamba tunalalama limetulemea jembe, mitani pananoma ipatikani sembe, mpeni bingwa ukweli, wa Kenya wanaumia. Imetushinda gharama, lijue hilo kamanda, hebu ifanye huruma, maisha yanatushinda. Tunasota siku nzima, shida zinatubibinda, mpeni bingwa ukweli, wa Kenya wanaumia. Hizo kodi zimezidi, bado tulipie hewa, ni msimu wa baridi wala hapana ngekewa. Fanya mambo maridadi ili tupate afua, mpeni bingwa ukweli, wa Kenya wanaumia. Mpeni bingwa ukweli, wa Kenya wanaumia.
Okay, Wanarun, tunaanza kufungasha ujumbe wako wa mwisho and then tuanze kungatuka. Keep it brief, it's almost 3 a.m.
Yes, ningependa kusema namna hii. 6 challenges ama let's say 5 challenges ambazo zinatumiza sisi kama Wakenya. Number 1, poverty, inequality, youth unemployment, transparency and accountability, and weak private sector. Hizo ndio vitu ambazo inastahili kama tungekuwa na gava mzuri iziangalie. The likes of injuries, the likes of Rai, hao ndio watu wange sio kunyanganywa biashara zao baada ya kukidnabiwa na nini. No, ile kitu kama tungekuwa na gava mzuri Hao ndio watu, hizi mabilioni zenye William Samoei Ruto ana waste pale angani akitangatanga the whole world, wangepewa hizo pesa ndio wa create more job opportunity for our young people, because hao ndio uti wa mgongo, at the same time kusupport mambo ya agriculture, kwa sababu without agriculture we are doomed. Thank you so much. Back to you Mr. Bernard, na ninashukuru Wakenya wote ambao mmekuwa nasi.
Okay, thank you, Obanarun. We appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing the curtain down to the show today. When Njiru and Tim come, they will start their feed. But before that, let's get a UK video here on Kindiki and the revised prices. Let's listen out to this.
Has revoked a Gazette notice issued on the 7th of November that revised rates for government services upwards, sparking public outcry. In its place, the government has published a new Gazette notice making minimal changes to the charges, reducing new identification card application fees to 300 from 1,000, and fees for Kenyan children born outside from 1 million shillings to 750,000. Hassan Mugambi breaks it down.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki Tuesday evening revoked the November 7th Gazette notice relating to the upward revision of charges on various services provided by the State Department for Immigration and Citizen Services. In the fresh charges citizenship for Kenyan children born outside Kenya that had shot up to 1 million from 500,000 Kenyan shillings is reduced to 750,000 Kenyan shillings. Charges for 66-page passport that had been raised to 12,500 from 7,500 remains the same. In the Gazette notice, charges for a 50-page passport that had been raised to 9,500 from 6,000 also remains, as was the case in the revoked Gazette. Replacement of a lost passport that would cost 12,000 Kenya shillings remains at 20,000 Kenya shillings, as the revoked notice had prescribed. Registration for an ID card that had been placed at 1,000 is back to 300, replacing an ID card that went up 20 times to cost 2,000 Kenya shillings. From 100 will now be 1,000 Kenya shillings, 10 times what it currently costs. The registration of birth that was raised to 200 from 50 remains as stipulated in the revoked Gazette. Registration of death that shot to 200 Kenya shillings from 50 Kenya shillings remains the same. Kindiki stated that the new intended charges are to take effect on the 1st of January 2024. The State Department for Immigration and Citizen Services has been directed to conduct a complete public participation as soon as possible, but not later than the 10th of December. The High Court had suspended the revoked notice with yet another petition against the revision of the charges filed Tuesday. Hassan Mugambi, Citizen TV.
Okay, that is our confused government that is doesn't know what they are looking for. I think even when you're looking for money, you don't look for it desperately like that, especially in view that you are a government that is sustained by the taxes of the masses. You cannot go back to the same masses and begin to sell to them everything as if you are a private company. And for that matter, we shouldn't accept this thing. Let's revolt. Let's get these people to think straight, because they are not thinking straight. They think they are in charge, and the Kenyans are at their mercy, and the Kenyans should accept anything they are giving. That is a misconception that has filled their mind, their head with And so if we will be a free country, we must fight for our freedom. And our freedom begins by getting these people to understand we are the ones in charge, not them. They should be there at our service, not for us to be their customer, so that they can do as they like. Whatever service that the government offers is supposed to be within the range of every Kenyan, not some Kenyans affording this and others not able to afford. So if somebody works like, for example, you went to Tanzania and as a gardener or as a watchman or whichever it is, and you got married there, you got children, how long will it take you to get 750,000 K? I mean, hey, let me not talk again. I want to end the show. So God have mercy on me.
Na hii bei ya mafuta mnazidi kutubana, gharama hii inatung'ata, mwezi uko kwenye kona, wengi wetu tunasota. Hii bei ya mafuta naona imeturamba. Rais uliahidi katika zako hutuba kwamba ukipata sudi ya kuapishwa saa 7 utaleta gudi tuvijaze vijaluba. Hii bei ya mafuta naona imeturamba. Bingwa Ruto naja kwako tena kwa unyenyekevu, nipe masikizi yako nikupe hoja ngavu. Sisi wa Kenya wenzako twaishi pangu pakavu. Hii bei ya mafuta naona imeturamba. Nyumbani hapa kaliki imeongezeka njaa, na pesa hazishikiki, kuzipata ni balaa. Maisha sasa ni dhiki, jiji tutaliamba. Hii bei ya mafuta naona imeturamba. Tupunguzie mafuta ili tupate nafuu, tuache kujikokota kwa kupiga kwa vifu. Ndugu Ruto tunasota, hiyo bei iko juu. Hii bei ya mafuta naona imeturamba. Tunajua unaweza kuyabadilisha mambo, anza kuyatengeneza, hebu kishike kifimbo. Bei imetushangaza, tumenaswa kwa ulimbo. Hii bei ya mafuta naona imeturamba.
You are watching Sound Candy Talk. Watch, share, like, subscribe.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part and parcel of our conversation today. I appreciate everyone for making our show today a success. And I look forward to having a great time again, even as we engage into our subsequent programs. We are in the sending off of the gallant minister of God, the late Apostle Dr. Joe Kayo. Today we had them, yesterday we had a memorial service, which you got from this particular channel. And we will be doing the send off the final journey by daybreak. And so I request everyone to be on the lookout, especially those who would want to follow the funeral proceedings, which will be taking place at Ulinzi sports complex. I think is along Langata Road. And so on that, I had a busy day, and I was not even supposed to be doing this show. But I came in to see to it that we don't miss out on the show. And I have pulled through. I did my almost 3 hours. So naomba tafadhali nikang'atuke. Wengine wenzangu wakija basi wataendelea na feed yao na mjadala uendelee. Kile ninacho waomba tu tuwe mstari wa mbele kutekeleza kile ambacho kitasaidia nchi hii na sio kutafuta ubabe kwa masuala ambayo hayafai. Kile ambacho mimi naona nchi mbaya inadhuru kila mmoja wetu. Sio swala la kabila moja au kabila lingine. Ni swala la nchi nzima. Na vita vyetu tutavishinda tu wakati tunapigania nchi inaitwa Kenya. If you want to fight for your tribe, you want to fight for your class, you want to fight for your community, you have lost it. I don't think you'll go any far. But if we all shoulder the responsibility of this country and begin to fight to secure this country for the sake of our children and for our children's children, we will win, and we will win big. And anybody who is thinking about public leadership, you must have the country at heart. William Ruto doesn't have the country at heart. He has his personal interest at heart. He will do anything, including sell the country, to safeguard his interest. That is the main problem we have in this country. And so we must move away from opportunistic leadership to nationalism. And that nationalism begins by you staking your life for the country called Kenya. And on that note, I want us to remember that. Don't be part of this conversation if you're still fighting for your tribe and pushing your regional agenda. What we need right now is a fight that will secure Kenya. And when Kenya is secured, every Kenyan will be safe. God bless you. Let's meet again in the next show.